None of you seem to understand. I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
All right. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you've had a good weekend so far. So we have the rarest of rarities, the Sunday night live stream. So why would we be doing that? Well, we didn't have quite enough time on Friday to get through everything that I wanted to get through because I had to go to a dentist the next morning, and then the dentist canceled on me the next morning. So I didn't need to go to sleep earlier after all. So that happened. But we didn't get to everything that we wanted to get to on Friday. Friday normally goes from 7:30 till, I don't know, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, even later sometimes. It goes really long. Well, we didn't go that long. We only went to about 12:30. So there was still stuff on the table that I wanted to get to before the weekend was over. So here we are, folks. We're going to go through all of the wonderful, magical, depressing, horrific things that we didn't get to on Friday night. So I hope you guys are going to appreciate this. I think there's some pretty good stuff that should get you on a good start for the week ahead as well. So anyway, what's going on? How you guys doing? What's up? It'd be great if somebody in the chat could let me know that the volume and everything, the usual routine. Just let me know the volume and everything. Everything seems to be working fine. We've had some problems with technical difficulties on this channel due to the fact that I don't really know what I'm doing. Though I'm getting better. So, yeah, somebody jump in the chat and let me know what the hell's going on. Anyway, what are we going to talk about? So, we don't have the usual stuff that we normally do on the Friday night. We don't have Grok versus Trudeau. We don't have a bunch of stuff. So, we're just doing the stuff that we didn't get to on Friday, which is lots. There's plenty. I'm hoping to keep this to like a couple of hours, hopefully. But I guess we shall have to see. So, just to give you a taste of what's coming, I'll just scan through. This is all the stuff that which is usually the largest part of the show, is all the stuff I've curated into my bookmarks during the week on X, formerly Twitter. And each one of these is a story in and of itself. So there's lots of stuff. It's quite varied. There's something for everybody. And I mean, look at this. Look at this guy sharing his watermelon with this donkey. Fantastic stuff. That makes you feel good. Look at that. Now I feel better. I'm ready for the week ahead from seeing that. That's good news. But there's all kinds of stuff. Some of this stuff is kind of a bummer. But then we'll see something nice. There's all kinds of things. We got Bill Maher in here. We got all kinds. Oh, look at this. A puppy, and it's a rooster, and they're best friends. Look at this. It's riding on its back. They're pals. What can you even say? Antipop in the chat. Good to see you, sir. Glad to see you. First into the chat. There's all kinds of stuff. Look at this. I don't know what's going on there. I think we have a button for it, though. Yeah, we do. We got woke people. We got all kinds of stuff. James Lindsay explaining what all this ESG stuff and why Bud Light puts Dylan Mulvaney on its cans, all that. Interesting stuff. We got guys like this. I don't really understand this at all, but maybe we'll try and figure it out together. People like this. She's not going to be nice. You just know, but we'll find out. So I don't know. I mean, here's Quentin Tarantino getting hassled in a restaurant by a bunch of pro-Hamas lunatics. That doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that? Why would they bother him? There's Nigel Farage. We're going to see that. I mean, this is actually a really interesting video. I think this video really shows why, since joining Reform to lead Reform, Nigel Farage is basically becoming the death of the Conservative Party in the UK. The Conservative Party, which has betrayed its voters, and now looks like, I think it's quite likely, it will be replaced, and Nigel Farage will be the voice of conservatism in the UK, which I think would be a good thing and would give hope to other countries too. This is funny. This is something we'll take a look at. It says, how was this allowed on British television? This is from Little Britain from 20 years ago. And when we see this video, you'll understand what that's all about. We'll see some lunatics on the mainstream media. Those people are crazy. Look at these nut bars. You won't believe what they're saying, or maybe you will. Maybe that's the problem with the world. All kinds of stuff in here. Got some Trudeau stuff. We've got Camille Poilievre here. She warned us about everything that was coming. We'll find out about that. This is Savannah Hernandez. She's great. I haven't seen anything from her for a while, but I really like her. So we'll see what she has to say. She's finding out some stuff there. So, yeah, I guess why don't we just jump in? I thought a good way to start this was to remind everybody just who our Prime Minister is in Canada. All the way to the top. There he is. Look at him. This is him dancing. It's a little blurry, this video, but that's him in the white. That's Justin Trudeau dancing like an idiot, looking like a fool. He's not even doing it well. It's not like it's grace. It's nobody would think, oh, actually, he's a pretty good dancer. He just looks like a dork. He looks like a doofus. Why was he doing this? This was this was during an India trip in 2018. This is 6 years ago. 6 years ago. We knew who he was back then. Nothing that's happened has been a surprise. We knew who he was back then. We've known about the so many blackface photos that he can't tell us how many times he did it, because in his words, if it was the wrong amount, it would seem like he was lying. Yeah, would seem like he's lying. Huh, how about that? How about that, folks? Anyway, I thought that we would make fun of Trudeau for a little bit here. Just remind ourselves. I mean, it's just been the entire time that he's been an idiot. The entire time. And we must mock him relentlessly. We must.
What is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
Absolutely, Arnold. Absolutely, Conan. 100%. So here he is. Again, this is 2018. We've known who he is all along. Harper did warn us. Harper warned us, and he turned into exactly what Harper said he would be. A child with absolutely no sense of how to run a country or an economy. And it was going to get us into deep trouble and deep debt. And, well, that all came true. What would possess a world leader to behave like this on the world stage? I mean, it's kind of beyond childish, isn't it? I mean, it's this. Is it just this desperate need, this desperate, sad need on his part? I mean, you're already prime minister. Okay, so I mean, that is as much validation as you should need. Do you need more? I mean, do you need people to say, oh, look at him dancing? Wow, that's impressive. Look at him doing that dance in India. That's cool. He's cool. Wow, he's hip. I guess a lot of it is the media's fault for actually telling him that, how hip he was, and putting him on magazine covers, and he was, I mean, putting him on the covers of magazines as if he was like this model or something, or this star. No, he's the Prime Minister of Canada. Not that big of a fucking deal. They told him he was a star, and he believed them. He thought he could do anything, including this. This is not the only time. Hold on. What's going on here? What's going on here? This couldn't be yet another video of Trudeau dancing in India, could it? Could it possibly be? Well, I don't know. I guess we'll have to find out. Here we go. There he goes. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me, everybody. I'm Justin Trudeau, the cool prime minister. I'm even cooler than my father. Pierre Elliott Trudeau. It's quite sad. The whole thing, he got mocked in the Indian media. They didn't actually really appreciate any of this. I mean, look at the get-ups he was in. And look at this. What the hell was he thinking? He even forced his family to play dress-up with him. Good Lord. Yeah, he got slaughtered in the Indian media. They were mocking him ceaselessly. And of course, everybody else was too. That was back in 2018. Again, look at this. All this dress up. He makes the family dress up with him. He should have left the family at home, is what I think. He loves the dress up. He can't get enough of it. What I think it is that he has a fetish for anything other than European culture. So any other culture he fetishizes. That's why all the blackface stuff, because I don't think he did blackface out of, racial hatred. I think he did it out of a sense of shame that he's white, that he fetishizes everybody else other than like himself, essentially. I think it's a fetish with him. And I think we have that on good evidence at this point. He seems to hate European culture. He doesn't seem to be very fond of white people other than himself and his cabinet. I think it's a fetish. I think he's ashamed of his own heritage, is what I think. And that's why we see all this bizarre behavior out of him. I don't know. What do you people in the chat think? What do you guys think? I think it's messed up, personally. I think he has psychological problems. I have to be honest. I mean, I hate having to say that, but I think it's true. I mean, look at this. What was he thinking? Did he have no handlers to tell him, no, don't do that? People are going to film that, and it's going to get shared all over the world, and you're going to look really stupid. And you're not even a good dancer. That's the problem. You just look like a weird dork. And not like the good kind of dork either. The kind of like you look like an arrogant, narcissistic dork. So take off your costume and go and sit the fuck down. And don't say anything until we get back to Canada. God damn it. If he had people that really cared about him, they would stop him from doing things like this. Anyway, just a reminder. That's just a walk down memory lane. And just a reminder that it's not just like the last 3 years that this guy has been a disaster and an embarrassment. It's been the whole time. All right. So here's Carl Benjamin, formerly Sargon of Akkad. But now he just goes by Carl Benjamin, and he runs Lotus Eaters. That's his own independent news site now and website, which is very good. You should check it out. They do really good long-form content. But he's talking about British politics right now, particularly what's going on with Nigel Farage. So just a quick preamble. So the Conservative Party in the UK has been in power for a better part of a decade and a half, and they have completely betrayed their voters. They kept promising over and over again. They put out like 5 manifestos saying that they're going to reduce immigration to reasonable levels. And each time they have lied. They've actually increased it. They've increased it probably more than the Labor Party would have. Completely betrayed their voters. And so there's an election coming up, I think July 5th in the UK. And already the Conservatives were going to get completely destroyed and wiped out in the election. Not because their voters were going to Labor or anywhere else, but because they just weren't going to vote. And then something very, very interesting happened. Something magical happened. And Nigel Farage, Mr. UKIP, Mr. Brexit, took the lead of the Reform Party. And it looks like Reform is well on its way to becoming what the Conservative Party used to be. It looks like it's going to go from a vote for Reform is a vote for Labor to a vote for the Conservative Party is a vote for Labor. It looks like Reform is going to, I think, it looks like there's a very good chance, considering all of the betrayal from the establishment Conservatives there, that the new Conservative Party is going to be Reform, led by Nigel Farage, who is a charismatic leader who actually believes what he's saying. I think we can trust that he believes what he's saying because he's the guy, he's the Brexit guy. I mean, he's been saying the same things for many years now and acting on them and being principled. So it appears to me and to some that something special might be happening. There might be a bit of a political revolution happening there for Conservatives in the UK. The people who were made really politically homeless by their own party, looks like they may be finding a home after all. Let's hear Carl Benjamin talk about this.
And weird, but I think there's something genuinely mythological going on with what Nigel Farage is doing here at the moment. There's something that is of a kind of return of legitimacy to the system that is actually playing out in front of our eyes. I hear constantly, every day, people saying to me, mate, I've just got back from the pub, and all people are talking about is Nigel Farage. All they think is this is a way of striking back to get the globalist organization that has occupied our country and is ruining it out of power, and to get representation for the British people back into number 10. Who knows where this is going, but it's been 2 weeks. 2 weeks since Farage announced his candidacy, and he's already destroyed the Conservative Party. Who knows what the next 2 weeks will bring? And weird.
Well, what he's talking about there, destroying the Conservative Party in 2 weeks, and yet 2 weeks, within 2 weeks of taking over Reform, Nigel Farage, I saw one poll that actually had Reform higher than the Conservative Party in a poll. The polls, more recent ones I've seen, it's not quite there. It would be kind of like, I don't know, maybe not exactly like this, but somewhat comparable to, like, if the Libertarian Party became conservative, them having a larger share of the vote than the Republicans in the States, right? Or I guess in Canada, I think a really good comparison would be the PPC taking over from the Conservative Party of Canada, the People's Party of Canada, which the Canadian Conservatives, Pierre Poilievre, should really be keeping an eye on what's happening in the UK, because this could be, I think will be a taste of their future if they betray us the way the British Conservative Party betrayed its voters. I think absolutely. In fact, if Poilievre, I'm not waiting 15 years to change my mind about them, right? Like, if after a year or two, we're just seeing Trudeau light, I'm going to go to the PPC, and I will encourage everybody else to go with me. Canadian Conservative Party should be paying attention to what's going on here. I mean, here we have a BBC poll of polls, and it's got, and this was, I think, from a 21st of June. So what's it today? So a couple of days ago. They've got the Conservatives up. They've got them at 20% support. They got Labour at 41%. So Labour is going to clean up in this election. Not because of anything special they've done or any special enthusiasm on their own side, just because Conservatives aren't going to vote. But it looks like they're not going to vote. It looks like a lot of them have gone over to Reform at 17%. That's shocking. That's in well, by this point, I guess 2.5, maybe 3 weeks. That's shocking. I mean, you can see down here, it's not too big. Let's make this a little bit bigger. You can see this kind of drastic uptick right there, right when Farage took over. So this is remarkable. This is something that conservative parties around the Western world, they will take note of this. That is absolutely remarkable. And before I get into the chat, I just want to show you guys a video which will help explain this. Let's see, where is it? It's not there. Man, we got a lot of really good stuff to look at on this one. And I'm hoping we can keep it to a couple of hours, but I don't know if we can. There's a lot here to talk about, especially if you guys get really chatty in the chat. If we have to go 4 hours, what the hell? What else have I got to live for, people? Here we go. So this will give you a great idea of why Farage would be garnering so much of the vote. 17% in 2 weeks. That's unbelievable. Let's hear this.
As a young man, I was born in this country, lived all my life, but I feel betrayed by it because, this country houses and funds the small boat migrants, right? They put them up in luxury hotels, whereas young people like myself, we've got to scrape and claw for every opportunity we get. So what I'd like to know is when and why did this country decide we're going to choose migrants over our own youth?
This is a perception shared by a vast majority of the population. except for those people Jim was talking about. Somehow, in central London, there is a completely new mindset that has taken hold. It's deeply embedded in much of our media. It's deeply embedded in much of our parliament. It seems to be even more deeply embedded in our courts and some of our judges, which is that the concept that you should put your own people first is somehow small-minded, petty, and verging on racism. And I'm sick of this narrative about how bloody awful we are as a country, how ghastly our history is. Compare us to the rest of Europe and most of the rest of the world. I think we are actually, generally, the most easygoing, tolerant, nice people you could ever meet anywhere in the world. But George, the one thing we hate is unfairness. And you put your finger on something deeply unfair. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
And look where he is. Look where he is. He's like in a pub or something. Like he's going to the people. Like he's amongst the people all the time. You know, and these clips go viral. I mean, it's a powerful thing. So, you know, the young lad there was saying that, you know, I'm struggling and scraping, and they're taking illegal immigrants and migrants who are just showing up on the beaches, being dropped off by NGOs and such, and just popping them into luxury hotels that he has to pay for. And the same thing, by the way, we see this everywhere. It's all the same stuff everywhere. In Canada, the hotels at Niagara are full of illegal immigrants. People who got to a safe first country and then left to come to Canada for benefits. But New York City, half the hotels there are full up with illegal immigrants that are being paid for by the taxpayers, right? Same thing happening everywhere, but we don't see a Nigel Farage everywhere. I like what I'm hearing from Pierre Poilievre so far, but I like him better, I have to say. You know, Pierre's really going to have to prove it to me. I'm saying that for sure. Go back up here. But yeah, there's a change. There's a change afoot. I mean, we've seen, you know, the EU elections in Europe did not go the way that the modern left wanted it to go. The modern, I don't know, neo-Soviets or the European Communist Party, you know, the people that look to China, for instance, with envy and say, boy, I wish our society was like that. I wish we had that kind of control. They're not happy about a lot of this stuff, but things are afoot. These are white pill moments. When we see stuff like this, we see what's happening in the UK with Nigel Farage. Is he going to win this election? No, he's not. But what happens in, I don't know, 10 years? Change is on the way. And we know that there'll be a change in Canada. And I am cautiously optimistic that we're going to see a major and important change in October of next year in Canada. And who knows what's going to happen in the States in November. But anyway, let's go to the chat here quickly. So, Antipop, the arrogant illiterate said, no, I don't read. Is that Zach Galifianakis? Because I saw like an old comedy routine from him, and it was like, yeah, the arrogant illiterate. It was like, excuse me, I can't read. I think that's what you're talking about. Rumbum says, dude's a bloody rock star across the pond. Yeah, you're talking about Farage. He's very popular he's becoming very popular with conservatives over there. I mean, there's an excitement around him because they've known him for a long time and they know that he's not a phony. He was on a reality show, like, I don't know, was it one of these island things where they send you to an island and you have to compete? And that exposed him to the wider British public. And they got to see, oh, he's not actually this super ultra far right Nazi guy, it turns out, that the media had been smearing him as. They like to do the smearing. Rumbum says, PPC all the way, baby. Well, if Pierre lets me down, I'll be joining you 100%. And I'm not going to wait 15 years to do it. Rumbum says, fingers crossed all the voters voting for Labor because the cons betrayed them will switch to reform. Well, you know, the thing is, I don't think there's a lot of conservatives that actually did switch to Labor. I think it's just that they're staying home, or they were staying home, or the ones that were staying home are now going to reform. I think it was just total disillusionment, and it was just a protest non-vote. Because what's the point? I mean, if they just betray you every single time, if they keep saying, okay, we understand that immigration is a major issue. And keep in mind, the population of the UK is what, 65 million or something? They're freaking out over 750,000 a year that the Conservatives are bringing in, right? We got 1 million in 9 months in Canada. But anyway, I digress. But yeah, I don't think there was much of a switch to Labor. I think it was just a protest non-vote that looks like all that's going to reform now in Nigel Farage. And I think it's smart. And I think that there's a real chance that reform could just totally displace the old Tories, the old establishment Conservative Party of the UK, who it appears are just a bunch of globalists anyway. So, you know, with friends like them, you don't need enemies, right? Anyway, you know what? I'm enjoying this earlier one. What is it? 6:30 now. It was a 6 o'clock start. I'm enjoying this. I feel like I have a bit more energy, actually. And I've also started drinking coffee for this as well. So maybe that has something to do with it as well. No cocaine, though. No cocaine. And I never will. Or crack or speed or any of that. But a bit of coffee. But a coffee doesn't hurt. If I were to do any drug, it would probably be, I don't know, just like pure MDMA. What a stream that would be, huh? What a stream that would be. But no. Caffeine and nicotine. That's it. That's what I'm limited to these days in my dotage. And really, I think it's probably better off that way, frankly. I think it really is. Anyway, I'm just babbling. So speaking of conservatives, let's take a look at this from Pierre Poilievre, leader of the Conservative Party of Canada, if you're listening from somewhere other than Canada and you didn't know that. Let's hear.
Mr. Speaker, the fanatical rhetoric of that extremist minister won't change anything. The reality is that nor will his carbon tax change the weather. His carbon tax is not going to eliminate a single forest fire, a single drought, a single heat wave. All it will do is turn up the heat on Canadian taxpayers. Now we know that there are 8.
I just want to go back to this. Hold on one second.
Won't change anything. Mr. Speaker, the fanatical rhetoric of that extremist minister won't change anything. The reality is that nor will his carbon tax change the weather. His carbon tax is not going to eliminate a single forest fire, a single.
I mean, it almost sounds trite, doesn't it? The carbon tax is not going to change the weather or eliminate a single forest fire. It sounds trite, like, oh, we must be misrepresenting them. No, this is literally what the Liberals are saying. If you don't pay enough carbon taxes, there'll be more fires and the weather will be worse. There'll be more global warming if you don't pay the carbon tax. That's literally what they're saying. The whole of Canada will just spontaneously combust. So I mean, sometimes you just have to step back and just remind yourself, no, I mean, the Liberals, they actually mean this stuff when they say it. But let's continue.
Drought, a single heat wave. All it will do is turn up the heat on Canadian taxpayers. Now we know that their 8 and 10 talking point does not include a $25 billion hit to the economy, which works out to almost $2,000 in lost wages and higher prices for families. Again, if they've been hiding this, what else are they hiding about their other tax hikes?
Well, the 8 and 10 talking point is they say that 8 and 10 Canadians get more back from the carbon tax than they put in, which is total bullshit because they neglect to mention that the carbon tax causes quite a lot of inflation because if you're looking at food, domestically produced food, for instance, that carbon tax applies at every step along the way of production. So at the farm, they have to pay the carbon tax. So transportation to the to packaging and to what's the word I'm looking for here? Processing. So from the farm, carbon tax, processing, carbon tax, transportation to the processing, carbon tax, transportation to packaging, carbon tax, packaging, carbon tax, transportation to the grocery store, carbon tax. You going to the grocery store, carbon tax. They don't mention all of that and all the other millions of ways that it makes everything more expensive. And then now it turns out that they've left out a major detail here. Let's watch that again.
Is carbon tax not going to eliminate a single forest fire, a single drought, a single heat wave? All it will do is turn up the heat on Canadian taxpayers. Now we know that their 8 and 10 talking point does not include a $25 billion hit to the economy, which works out to almost $2,000 in lost wages and higher prices for families. Again, if they've been hiding this, what else are they hiding about their other tax hikes?
Everything. They just either lie or lie by omission about everything. We know this now. The guy's been around, Trudeau's been around since 2015. So we know this. If he's saying something, if any of his ministers are saying anything, you just have to assume they're lying at this point. That's just the safest thing. To protect yourself, you just have to assume that they're lying or they're leaving something major out. And I know that is politics. That's a large part of politics in general, but it's not like a it's not supposed to be like a principle, like first principle of a party. It's just we just lie about everything. Always remember that. You know, like a new MP, do you have any advice? Lie about everything. It's not supposed to be quite like that. We all expect some triangulations or exaggerations from politicians. We all expect that. We all know that's going to happen, right? But we don't expect them to just lie about literally everything all the time. So, anyway, I think that was worth saying. Now, this is, I think that Elon is one of those guys who is apparently, I mean, he appears to be a genius to me. Appears to be a genius, right? But he really cuts through. I guess maybe it's his engineering background, the fact that he's constantly engineering, is that I think that motivates him to just cut through the nonsense. It's just what works, what's real, and he will just say that because it's true and because truth matters. So let's hear what he has to say here.
Now, the thing that a lot of traditional journalists don't like is they don't like being put on the same platform as the average citizen. They don't like their voice being the same. They're pretty mad about that. I think it's very important to elevate citizen journalism. I think it's very important to hear the voice of the people, the actual voice of the people, not the filtered voice of the people. And let the people choose the narrative and let the people determine the truth. And not 5 editors-in-chiefs of major publications. Do you want to know what's really going on, or do you want their opinion? You know, it's a handful of people. I think we want to know the voice of the people, the true voice of the people. Now, the thing that a lot of traditional...
So, Vox Populi, Vox Dei. The voice of the people is the voice of God, right? So, his point about being that journalists don't like being on the same platform as the average citizen, because he took away all of their privileges on X once he took over, and they didn't like that at all, right? They want to feel like as if they're in a rarefied space. But that doesn't really work out that well. I guess they must see it as kind of unfair because they really didn't have anybody to call them out. Once they all came to the same opinion and the same narrative, there was nobody to really call them out. I mean, what are you going to do? Letter to the editor, right? And things have changed now, and they don't like it. They don't like it because they can get called out now. And it's not like it's even just like you go back 20 years, WMDs. Well, there's nobody really to call it out back then. Unfortunately. I mean, there was small, media outlets. But it wasn't like today, right? It wasn't like today because you can find things out pretty quickly. You can suss it out for yourself. They don't like the fact that citizen journalists can do. Let's talk about the Fine People's hoax, right? A citizen journalist can hear about the Fine People hoax on CNN and MSNBC, and they get it from the New York Times or wherever, right? And within 3 minutes, they can have Googled that speech or that video clip and figured out that CNN, MSNBC, whatever, had edited the clip to make Trump look bad. A citizen journalist can do that in like 3, 4, 5 minutes. I did that in like 5 minutes. I went, oh, I want to see the whole clip. Oh, so that's not what he was saying. It's just a hoax. And the people on CNN that just told me that know that. They have to know that because it's like the next 5 seconds on the clip if you just keep playing it. So now we know the citizen journalist, who is just anybody really, who just bothers to Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever platform, Brave, search, whatever platform you're on, whichever search engine you want to use, can just in a few minutes find out that they're lying. Brazenly lying. Hoaxing you. Journalists don't like that. They really don't like that. So they have to try and discredit the people that would do this. Well, they're citizen journalists. That's not real journalism. Yeah, but I just found, I've got the clip here, and it's obvious you edited it, you cut it, and then lied to us about it. Well, you're not a real journalist, though. Yeah, but, the thing where you lied intentionally to try and fool us all, yeah, they don't like it. They don't like getting called out and discovered. They don't like having their lies discovered, unfortunately. For them. Hunter Biden laptop, lab leak, that was all misinformation, right? All misinformation. They confidently told us that. That was all misinformation. You're crazy. You're crazy. And don't do any of your own research because you don't even know how to read, probably. You don't know how to do journalism. Only a journalism can have an opinion on these things. Just ignore the fact that there's a lab right there where the whole thing came out of, right? Where the whole thing started. Just ignore that. You're not a journalist. What do you know? You're just one of the stupid hoi polloi. You're just one of the unwashed masses. What makes you think you could Google a clip of President Trump and watch the entire clip within 5 minutes and know that we're obviously lying and that we had deceptively edited a clip to trick you, to try and get you to not vote for the person that you want to vote for? What makes you think you're qualified to do that? I don't know. I have a computer and I can read and write. I can use a keyboard. I guess that makes me qualified. I don't know. It's enough to drive you mad, isn't it? It's enough to drive you mad. Anyway, what are you people saying in the chat? Let's see. I don't think I gave Rumbum the applause when I saw him in the chat there, so he gets it now. Let's see. Rumbum is recommending salvia to me. Is that the thing that makes you go insane? Because I don't want that. I don't ever want to put any weird, not even weed. I don't want to put any more weird chemicals into my brain. I feel like my brain is just hanging on by a thread already. So no more fucking around with my brain. Let's see. Rumbum says, I live in a country where they tax the resale of an already taxed item and even the air. What a time to be alive. Yeah, and they do it. They tell you it's virtuous to do that, and that you're an asshole and you're greedy if you don't want to be taxed on the thing you've already paid taxes on. Trudeau's really going for the class warfare stuff now, as well as Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP. They're really going full commie at this point. Full class warfare, full resentment politics. I'm not surprised. Hey, we got Xerxes in the chat. Good to see you, sir. Xerxes says they never did find the WMDs. What a bunch of liars. Yes. And do you remember who was shortest? Who was the most credentialed organization, the most celebrated news organization to tell us quite confidently? Of course, there were WMDs in Iraq. Remember? New York Times. New York Times. They worked hard to sell that. They worked very hard to sell the WMDs. New York Times. Thank you, New York Times. Thanks for being such good journalists. All right. Let's see. Rumbum says they are commies after all, so no shock there. Looks like we've got Freedom by Me in the chat. Good to see you. Thanks for popping by. Says Fidel Trudeau. You know, there's definitely a resemblance there, right? Definitely a resemblance. I mean, I don't think it's just me. A lot of people have noticed this. There's definitely a resemblance there between Fidel Castro and Justin Trudeau. I don't know. I mean, I think Trudeau gets mad when we say things like that.
Small fringe minority.
Yeah, but you still kind of look like him, don't you? You still kind of look like him, you know? I don't know. We notice these things. We notice this. Freedom by Me says it's all they got left. Yeah, talking about the class warfare stuff now. You know, the price fixing and like the price controls that they're talking about now, which is totally insane. We've got a video on that coming up, actually. All totally lunatic stuff. Rumbum says, no doubt in my mind, it's his real dad, given the look and his mom's history. Well, she apparently, from what I hear, from what I understand, I didn't know her personally, obviously, but my understanding is that she might have been a little bit, as they used to say, loose. She might have been a bit of a loose woman, what they say. So, and then he kind of looks exactly like him. So there's that, and there's pictures of them all in the same, because of course his dad was liked commies. So they were all hanging out. The mom was hanging out with the top commie, Fidel Castro. So I don't know. Will we ever know? All I know is that, who's that Mia Farrow's son? Ronan Farrow. Ronan Farrow looks a lot more like Frank Sinatra than he does like Woody Allen. A lot more like him. So I don't know. But either way, you guys get some applause for that. All right. Do you know what my favorite clip of Justin Trudeau is? My favorite clip of Justin Trudeau. Let me show you guys again. You guys have seen this before.
I have a slight learning disability.
I believe it. All right. Let's keep going. We're already 50 minutes in. I was only going to do like 2 hours, but I think we're going to go probably long again. So obese Karen jumps in the lake to scare the fish away. Well, that's stupid. Let's check this out.
Okay.
No more fish.
Yep, no more fish. Yeah, someone scared them away.
Fucking vegans. Jesus. No more fish. Did she get that fat just so she could do that to scare all the fishes away? Because, I don't know. Because every fish is precious. I don't know. I mean, look, as far as I understand it, fishes don't even know what the hell's going on. Right? They don't even feel anything. I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe we got it wrong. Maybe that's just something we tell ourselves to not feel bad about eating fish. But, I mean, we're going to eat things. We are humans, right? We do need to eat things. And like, what's she worried about? Like all of a sudden, all the fish in the lake are like her children or something? So weird. What a rude thing to do. Just jump in. You know, we need to do this again. We're going to turn the sound off. It's these lefties. They really think that they have the right to just rule everybody else, and everybody has to do what they want. Like, it really does seem to be their opinion. Anyway, let's roll this again. I love the fart button. It really comes in handy. But this is just bullshit. Like, what makes these people think they have the right to just run everybody else's fucking life? No, you're not allowed to catch the fish because, I don't know, for some reason now I'm a save the fish person. I mean, it looks like she eats a lot of fish. No, actually doesn't. If she ate a lot of fish, she wouldn't be so obese. Or maybe it's just that she wants all the fishes for herself. I think that's it. She's like, no, I'm eating those fish. You don't get any of them. They're all for me. I'm making a giant fish pie. And I'm eating all of it. You're not invited. Freedom by Me says AOC was giving a speech in the Bronx, hopping up and down just like Fidel. She knocked her bike over. It was hilarious. Oh, and you know what? Let's just take a little stroll over to that. Let's go find that. OC. Where was that again? It was in the Bronx. Speech. Let's go take a look because it's really ridiculous. Okay, let's check this out. What's this?
I've been looking for this answer for so.
No, that's not the right video. Here we go. Okay, let's check this out. What? No, nothing there. Okay. Let's see. Is she okay? AOC loses it at Bronx rally. All right, come on. Come on, computer. No. Oh, here we go. Okay. So let's make this bigger. You can watch this ludicrous absurdity. You know, the reason she became a representative is because, hold on.
Earlier today.
Because the Democrats basically did like a talent show, basically. They had like a little Who Wants to Be a Representative competition. And she was just like a bartender who just went. It was like an audition, right? And they just wanted to pick just a puppet. You know, just somebody who could just look the part, I guess, that they wanted. They wanted the cool young person to get the young vote. Cool young communist to get the young vote. That's why anybody knows about her. She basically just won a talent competition. Okay, let's take a look.
Bartender turned Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez And a couple of other far-left Democrats held a rally in the Bronx. I don't know, perhaps they were inspired by the huge crowd that Donald Trump got there a couple of weeks ago. But the Democrats' rally, sadly, in what should be Democrat heartland, only had a few hundred in attendance, and they were treated to this absolute cringe fest. Now, just watch this and ask yourself, is AOC okay?
That does not make her look cool. That makes her look like a wine mom who had a little bit too much wine. She must have had a couple of glasses of Chardonnay before she came up there. I don't think how old is she now? She's not like a young person anymore, I don't think, is she? I mean, she's like in her mid-30s now, I think. Right? She's not like 20. She's not like 18 or 22 or something, right? This is pretty cringe.
She got her hands.
And that's at a Bernie rally, right? So Bernie is the one who used to talk about, you have to, what was it he said? You have to tax the millionaires and the billionaires. And then it turned out that he became a millionaire and owns like 4 houses. And then it became, well, just have to tax the billionaires. All of a sudden, he wasn't talking about taxing the millionaires anymore. Literally, that's what happened with him. I mean, I don't know. Is that what you need to do to try to get people excited about Bernie Sanders now? He's already proved himself to be pretty weak, I think. Let's
on whatever
Let's see. Xerxes says, I saw that video. Trump had a huge Bronx audience. AOC had a few people. Well, they tend to like to do the close-in shots, right? If there's not many people there, so they try and make it look like there's a lot of people, but they don't do the wide shots because then people would see that actually it's kind of a joke. Freedom by Me says she's literally an actress. Rumbum says, who wants to be a commie? She does. Well, I think she is a commie. Or maybe she's just whatever her handlers tell her that she wants to be. Let's see. Xerxes says she was hopping around on stage like a performer. It's all pandering to the base. People are getting onto this. I think you're right. Antipop says, and she can do handstands. That's probably her best talent, her biggest talent. Does have a nice rack. I will say that for her. All right. If you let it play, she starts hopping up and down, waving her hands as she screamed at the lectern. Okay, let's check it. Okay, let's keep going. I don't know about you all. Who doesn't see through this? She grew up in like a nice, like middle-class neighborhood, upper middle-class neighborhood. She likes to pretend she didn't grow up like in New York City. She grew up like in a suburb outside in like a nice house in a nice community, in a nice neighborhood. I mean, who doesn't see through this bullshit? It's hilarious, though.
I love the hair work. That's excellent. She wants to win the country back, y'all. From whom exactly? I don't know. Illegal immigrants, Joe Biden. She does realize the Democrats are in the White House. And she mentioned Gaza there, and that was also top of mind for the male AOC, Jamal Bowman. Watch this deranged performance. And remember, this man is a congressman, Democrat congressman.
What am I supposed to do?
Now, am I correct? Is this the guy who pulled the fire alarm to stop a vote in Congress? Is this the same guy?
You coming after me. You coming after my family. You coming after my children. I'm not supposed to fight back. I'm not supposed to fight back. We're going to show them who the we are.
Wow, they are really going lowest common denominator. I mean, they're getting desperate, I guess. I mean, they're in New York, their seats are safe, but the Democrats are getting desperate because of Biden, because of Biden's brain. But I mean, they're really going for the lowest common denominator vote here, aren't they? Wow, unbelievable.
We're going to show them who the we are.
And just as AOC mentioned Gaza in that rant, Bowman is also preoccupied with the war between Israel and Hamas.
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! We are not.
And they accuse Trump of like vulgar politicking. Really? Oh, okay. Well, let's continue.
We are not going to stand silent while U.S. tax dollars kills babies and women and children.
When you watch those lefties lose it, you can understand how, despite the lawfare that Donald Trump has faced, the corruption of the justice system, the 34 nonsense convictions, not to mention the...
All right. Yeah. So that's, I don't know. It's pretty unbelievable, right? Wow. Well, they're getting desperate. They're really getting down into the gutter. Unbelievable. All right, let's keep moving. Okay, this is the perfect time. I don't have the I don't have the puppy palate cleanser or kitten corner for us to cleanse our palates of all that awfulness, but I do have a few things mixed in here, so we don't need to go there. Look at this. Oh, well, there's a trait. So that's nice. Oh, no. That was way more. All right. Well, that was fun. Now I feel better. Let's see. So this is where... So Canada's national debt has doubled under Justin Trudeau. It's about $1.2 trillion now, up from about $600 billion. And you wonder, where is all that money going? Because everything is worse in Canada. Healthcare is worse. The infrastructure is worse. There's no new hospitals or police departments or schools or anything, right? Where is all this money been going? Well, a lot of it's been going on stuff like this. 10 million tax dollars for girls' sexual and reproductive health in Mozambique. In Mozambique. Why is that any of my fucking business? Seriously. And this is just, I mean, he brags all the time about how much, all the money he's sending all over the world. He sent millions of dollars. That was like $5 million to Ukraine for, what was that? Gender neutral demining. Because it's important that when you're getting rid of mines that kill people, the people doing it be gender neutral. I guess they could be gender neutral, or they have to be men, the same amount of women as men. Is there really that many women that want to go demining in Ukraine? I don't know. Or is it that the Ukrainians have to be gender neutral, or else they can't have the money? I don't know. It's constant. It's constant. I mean, this is just one small drop in the bucket. $10 million to Mozambique for women's sexual and reproductive health. It's probably just a bunch of gender shit. Probably just sent a bunch of people over to give them pamphlets about how they're all born in the wrong bodies. I mean, this is the Trudeau government after all. Why the fuck are we doing this? That $10 million that's not even taxpayer money yet. That's borrowed. That's borrowed, so we'll have to pay the interest. Guaranteed. Trudeau has doubled our national debt. Doubled it. And then we have to pay interest on that. Now we're paying more interest on servicing the interest on the national debt than we do on healthcare. And yet he's still giving away $10 million to Mozambique. Why? I mean, it's not like I wish the best for everybody in Mozambique, but why do we have to borrow $10 million that we're going to have to pay interest on to send to them? I mean, I don't really get it. What is the point of this? Is this just part of Mother Trudeau's plan to be the mother savior Gaia figure for the entire planet? I have no idea. Is this just for Justin Trudeau's ego? Is that it? He can go to Mozambique one day and say, hey, I gave you guys like $10 million. So, just letting you know. Yeah, don't regret it or anything. No, I don't want anything from you. No, I just want, just let you know. I mean, I just did give you $10 million to tell you, to send pamphlets over to tell you all that you're born in the wrong body. Somebody explain this to me. How does this even fucking make sense? Well, Xerxes says it's all money laundering. I don't know. I don't doubt it. I mean, there's 5 new scandals every week from the Trudeau government. Antipop says, I guess this is in regards to why the national debt has doubled under Trudeau. He says it's because the price of costumes is going up. Costumes like these, they ain't cheap. And he's got to get them for the whole family, too. So, yeah, pricey. All right, let's move on. Interesting campaign video for our favorite president. So, okay, let's take a look.
In fact, the update. Now I do support what we're doing.
The voice is what gets me here. The voice is what really gets me here. Let's check this out.
Hello. A lot of things, and I talk about a lot of things, and I may get overly emotional, and blah, blah, but I have just started hormones. Been on hormones for about 4 months now. Stuff's starting to level out. In fact, they upped it. Now I do support women's rights. I do support ending murder.
Well, the hormones aren't working. 4 months. I don't know. I don't know if they're ever going to work. Shouldn't you just be like a truck driver or something, right? I don't know. Shouldn't you just be a man your own age? Shouldn't you just be a man your age? Just doing, I mean, I don't even understand the point, right? It's like, you don't look hot. The whole trying to look hot thing, look like a hot lady, it's not working, right? Should you just get to a point in your life, should you just age gracefully and just decide like, okay, I'm never going to be, I'm a, 50-year-old man. I'm never going to be a princess. We didn't used to actually have this problem. Because people, look, whenever you got billions of people, there's going to be lots of people who have lots of freaky ideas and things. And it's never really an issue because people just did it at home, They didn't make videos to tell the world about it, I mean, but even beyond that, like, what's the point of taking hormones? It's not going to work. Like, whatever the mental image that you have of yourself, whatever your expectations are of what you're going to be, you're not going to be that. Like, it's never going to be sexy. So I don't know. You're never going to be some ingenue. You're never going to be a diva. You're just going to be a guy who sounds like he should just be picking up some donuts and coffee at the Tim Hortons. That's it.
In missing Indigenous women, and I do support pro-Palestine. I do support.
Do you support rooftops? That's my question. You're pro-Palestine. Do you support rooftops? You know, I would say you really need to go there. Except I know what would happen. And I don't wish that on anybody. But I don't know. Maybe just do a Google search. Just a quick search. Palestine. Maybe just type in Gaza and trans, or benefits of being trans in Gaza. Hope you're not afraid of heights.
Biden, even though I support pro-Palestine, I support a lot of things. And the point is if you read Project 2025, there's only really one choice. And yeah, I know, genocidal Joe. Well, also protector of women's rights, Joe. Also promises to veto any national abortion, Joe. Also throws pride every year he's president, Joe. And the list goes on. CHIPS program, economy, all that. And I can
the economy, the economy, all that. The economy and all that. The only thing he said there, which may have any benefit, is the chip spill. It's the only thing about the microchips. That's the only thing. And even a stop clock is right twice a day, right? I don't know. I don't understand the point of this. It's just somebody who knows nothing, who I guess the point is just, if you don't have a real personality and you don't know how to do anything, you're not good at anything, there's nothing about you that stands out, well, you can just pretend to be a lady. And now you're special, and you can go on TikTok and a bunch of people will praise you and tell you how hot you are. Basically, a bunch of people can lie to you, and that can give you your identity. I don't know. It's kind of sad. What are you people saying in the chat? What are you monsters saying? Let's take a peek. Let's see. Xerxes is saying, plus cost for Trudeau's vaginoplasty. That's definitely, I think, helped to double the national debt. I can't read that one, Rumbum. Oh. Antipop says, I'm waiting for him to snort and spit. Xerxes says he's living for the moment. I just wonder, how good can the moment really be? I mean, that's my whole thing. Like, what are you really going to get out of this? You know, whatever this delusion of yourself, this fantasy of yourself you've built up in your mind, you're not going to be it, right? Like, the fantasy is surely not what that actually is, because nobody would think, I really want to be that, right? So the idealized version in his head, he's never going to be, and at some point you're going to figure that out, and you're just going to be, I don't know. I just think you're better off not humiliating yourself in public. I don't know. Whatever. All right, let's keep going. Hour and 13 in already. Jeez. Elon Musk answers why he told advertisers to go fuck yourself. Why did you say that? What do you mean by that? Well, let's watch this clip, because this is the first time I've heard him talking about it since.
Why did you say that? And what did you mean by that?
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go fuck yourself. But go fuck yourself. Well, first of all, it wasn't it wasn't to the advertisers as a whole. It was
with respect to freedom of speech, I think it is important to have a global free speech platform where people from a wide range of opinions can voice their views. And in some cases, there were advertisers who were insisting on censorship. And at the end of the day, if there is censorship, if we have to make a choice between censorship and money, if censorship and money or free speech and losing money, we're going to pick the second. We're going to support free speech rather than agree to be censored for money, which is, I think, the right moral decision.
I think it's also the right business decision. It's also the right business decision, because it has been doing nothing but growing and gaining users since he took over. It's expanded quite a bit. It's expanded its user base a lot. It's been growing by leaps and bounds, right? And so what does that mean? Well, it means that there's more people to see ads, and that if you're not on it, there's money lost, right? And eventually, the people spending the money on the advertising budgets are going to go where the opportunity is. If they can get an edge by being on a platform that other companies or competitors aren't on, they are going to go there. That is just going to happen. So it's smart from a business perspective as well. And it's obviously the correct moral choice as well. So I think that Oh, we got Radio Streamer in the chat. Good to see you, sir. Welcome in. I think I'm going to practice doing my ad reads. So I'm going to look up one of these ad reads that's in Rumble Studio. And let's do this one. I like doing this one. Okay. All right. So Rumble's exclusive apparel has finally arrived. They are now offering 20% off all purchases in the Rumble store with the discount code DROP20. DROP20. So a 20% discount off all purchases in the Rumble store with the discount code DROP20. If you want to support the brand that is fighting for free speech and fighting for our First Amendment, this is the best way to do it. They have tees, sweaters, hats, plus much, much more. Go to the Rumble store, rumble.store, and make sure to enter DROP20 as the promo code to get 20% off your entire order. And I think I'm going to go there too. I mean, I'm really all in big on Rumble. I think it's the future of channels like mine. I think that, there's a major competitor that we all know that basically has been running the show for forever, basically. And I don't think there's much of a future for channels like mine. For one thing, most of your favorite creators, I think, will eventually be knocked off that by Google itself. I think Google with YouTube is going to go just to AI stuff. Everything's going to be AI controlled by them, and it's going to be pure propaganda. So you have to support a company like Rumble because they're supporting you. That's the way that I see it. I'm shilling hard right now, I know. But that's the way that I see it. They're supporting us. We need to support them. And the product is also great. So I'll probably get myself a hat. Maybe I'll see if I can get one before I go on my trip. But anyway, there we go. Another ad read down. But I like doing the Rumble ones because I actually believe it. I really believe in it. I genuinely believe in it. I think if my channel, if Radio Baloney is going to grow into something, much larger, it's going to be on Rumble. It's not going to be anywhere else. That's the only place where it can really happen, I think. And I think all of your favorite creators are going to be on Rumble soon anyway. So anyway, buy yourself a t-shirt, a hat, whatever from the merch store. And I don't think you'll be sad about it. You'll feel good. And I think it's probably good karma as well. So karma is important. As you get older, you realize that. All right, so I am going to take a 2-minute bathroom break. So I'll be back in a minute. All right. I'm back. This is a good time to say that if you're watching and you're not subscribed to the channel, this is a perfect time to subscribe. A perfect time to subscribe. I'm not saying that if you don't, that your life will fall apart. I'm just saying that it's a good thing to do. Probably help you out. Only good things can happen, really. So, and also too, you should leave a like as well, because those are very helpful for me. And it's also a tiny bit of good karma for you to invest in. And karma is always good. Anyway, let's keep going. From Jonathan K. Here are the questions you need to answer when applying for an emergency supply teacher position at the Toronto District School Board. Yikes. So, okay, wokeness is really wormed and weaseled its way into Canadian education. And I mean, how does it happen so quickly? I guess it did. It's not that it happened quickly. It happened quietly over a long period of time. You know, a lot of things, they happen slow and then really fast. Let's see. Please indicate the areas in which you are comfortable in identifying. Do you identify yourself as female, male, gender fluid, not real, gender queer, not real, non-binary, not real, transgender? I don't know. Two-spirit, was just made up like 15 years ago. That's supposed to be the indigenous thing, but I think it was actually made up by like white leftists. So these are the institutions that are teaching our children. Do they think that people can be something called gender fluid? I mean, I just can't get my head around this. It's just astonishing to me. Gender queer. They think there's such a thing as gender queer or non-binary. Like, where are the biology teachers? They should know. At least they should know. Do you identify yourself as an indigenous person? Yes or no? That shouldn't matter. Do you identify yourself as a racialized person of color? Yes or no? This racialized, I first noticed this word, I think about 4 or 5 years ago. It started to get really, it was everywhere in Canada. It started to become ubiquitous in the press, in the Canadian press, racialized. And it's such an insidious term, racialized. It's something that's being done to you, not something you have any control over. It doesn't matter whether you're living in Canada, whether you were born here or you immigrated 2 years ago or last week. Apparently, the second that you step foot in Canada, you're immediately racialized. This thing called racialization happens to you, where all the white people, I guess it has to be the white people, right? All the white people do this thing called racializing you. You've been racialized. I mean, do they give them like a little pamphlet when people immigrate here that explains to them that as soon as they step foot in Canada, they're racialized. You are now racialized. You've been racialized. How do you feel? The same? Well, you shouldn't. You should feel racialized. Can't you feel all of the hate? It's fucking crazy. It's this insidious thing. It's because there must be oppression, right? For the leftists, there must be oppression. This is what feeds them. And they're ravenous and they will never get full. So they just kind of rig the game, right? You're just automatically racialized as soon as you get to Canada. Canada is not a horrible racist country, all right? It's actually a nice country. People are definitely at their wits' end about the mass immigration now. But that is a logistics issue. There's just too many people. The infrastructure, healthcare, everything, we can't handle it, right? And of course, are there cultural issues? Of course there are. A lot of people are now wondering, why do we need people with these tablecloths on their head, with their faces covered, screaming about killing all the Zionists? Why did we need that exactly? But that's not even racial. That's just ideology. That's just that's just as much some white Antifa far leftist, revolutionary communist. But they rig the game. You're just automatically racialized. That's what this means. Are you a person of color? You're racialized. Doesn't matter if you feel racialized or not, they're telling you that you are. And you better believe them. What a bunch of fucking sick bollocks. It's demented. In fact, I think it's evil to try and manipulate people in this way. Do you identify yourself as a person with a disability? Well, isn't it one of those things where you either kind of got one or you don't? No, do you identify? I identify myself as somebody with one leg, but you've got two. I can see them. Yeah, but I identify myself as a person with one. So I've got a disability then. I identify that way. None of this makes any fucking sense. This is all lunacy. Do you identify yourself as asexual, bisexual, gay? Why would anybody need to know if you're asexual? I mean, that's just nothing. You're just not into it. You just don't want any. You don't like a bit of it. Why does anybody need to know any of these things? All of this stuff is the least interesting thing about anybody in the first place. Certainly not something to build an entire identity around. Pansexual. I mean, we have to treat these things as if they're real, as if they make any fucking sense. Let's see let's see if there's any comments underneath this. I love how they ask if you're two-spirit. I love how they ask if you're two-spirit under both gender identity and sexual orientation, because no one has any clue what two-spirit actually means. So they want to cover their bases. I know. That's why they've got the plus two. And sometimes they have the two pluses. So LGBTQ plus whatever plus, and then sometimes it's plus plus, which I think is all the shit they haven't thought of yet, but they definitely know it exists. Correction, as C. Sally pointed out, applicants are permitted to skip this selection of the application, so my use of the word need was wrong. Yeah, but what happens if you skip that part of the application? I'm wondering about that. I'm guessing if you skip that part of the application, your application goes in the garbage, because they definitely want to know this stuff. Why? For equity reasons, so they know who to hire based on totally irrelevant details. God damn it. This has all gotten so much worse under Trudeau because he's their leader, right? He gives them permission to indulge in their most ridiculous delusions. RIP from Shibatoshi Nakamoto. RIP Star Wars 1977 to 2012. 2012, was that when The Force Awakens came out? I think that was, wasn't it? That was not a good movie, by the way. Apparently it wasn't as bad as the two that followed, but not good. Me realizing I can let go of Star Wars instead of wasting my time on Disney's cringe crap. It's true, isn't it? Isn't it true? Isn't it true, though? Like, once you realize that, like, you're just wasting your time with something that's going to consume hours of your life, like, it really does free you up to do anything else. Maybe start up a Rumble channel. Let's see. Xerxes says, I think this is a good one. You know what? I need to keep remembering you guys. You guys should remind me to do this if I forget. But to put up there we go. But he's saying, I think all the cultural BS will go on and on until the economy collapses and people have to live in reality, or people get drafted into a war. All very real possibilities. I mean, that's the way that, these kind of revolutionary movements go. They tend to fuck up your society and they tend to make people starve to death because nothing works anymore. But I need to remember to start doing this for you guys. I always forget to highlight your guys' tweets when I like them. Unfortunately, we have to wait for these people to get their heads out of their asses. Well, what's going to have to happen is that these institutions, the worst actors, are simply going to have to be fired and removed. Just fired from their jobs, and they'll have to go and, I don't know, maybe they can start up private schools teaching poison to children. If there's any parents, of course, there will be stupid parents that will want that, right? But they can't work for tax dollars. They can't be paid with tax dollars anymore. And I think that most of the people in, working for these school districts are probably normal, and they don't want to teach poison to children, but a lot of them are cowardly and they don't want to lose their jobs, and they get punished. And if they speak their mind, the unions will not help them. They won't stand up for them because they're woke too. So it's really a generational issue now. When I talk about Trudeau and the generational issues that he's caused, mainly from mass immigration that's put us into a population trap where the standard of living can't increase until we adjust to the massive increase in population. It's not just that. He gave permission to all of the worst actors to follow their worst instincts through his leadership. He told them, stood in front of cameras and basically gave the worst lunatics, the worst far left extremist lunatics permission. He encouraged them to indulge themselves with their worst excesses. And it's just swept through the institutions. And that as well, not only the cultural issues and the economic issues, well, I guess that's part of the cultural issue, but the institutions are a part of this too. That's also generational now. It's all become, it's not stuff that's going to be fixed in 5 years. But anyway, let's keep going. Now look at this. This is better. Look at this. This is nicer than talking about far left lunatics. Look at that. See if we got any sound for this. Go back to the start. After watching this, I kind of wish my best friend was a donkey now. Oh, well, maybe one day. Antipop says, obstructed view with the comments on the screen, though. All right. Well, then maybe we have to sacrifice that. All right. Let's see. Now, this guy's talking some sense. So, white liberals versus white conservatives. This is interesting.
This is the difference between a white liberal and a white conservative in the eyes of a black man, okay? Now, I lived in California, I've lived in Texas, I've lived in really red, I've lived in really blue, okay? Here's what the liberals will do when they see a young, articulate, successful black man. They'll be like, oh my gosh, it must have been so hard for you to overcome the disparities, the discrimination, the racism. It is just so amazing that you've become the exception to the rule. You have just created something for yourself that is just so difficult for minorities to do. And we're just so proud of you. So amazing. And I'm sitting there being like, so like what? You just think all black people are just dumb thugs that don't know how to do nothing? I'm the exception to the rule purely because I found success like you have. Like I'm as successful as you, so therefore I must just be a special one. The exception to the rule. It's crazy. I'm not joking. This happens. It's crazy. They're like, oh my gosh, like the struggles, the hurdles, the obstacles. It's just amazing that you found the way to be moderately successful. And it's the most racist, like in-person experience that I usually get. And it's just like the assumption that I'm just like part of a group of people that are incapable, period. Here's how white conservatives do it. They'll see a young black man, articulate, successful. And they'll be like, word, dude, congrats, man. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That's cool, bro. Keep it going. And then they leave. They leave. Because they don't care. Conservative, they don't care. It's like, oh, you worked hard? You want a cookie? You want a cookie for working hard? And they don't care. They're like, dude, are you kidding me? I'll congratulate you for just being a hard worker, but like, I'm not going to sit here and, singing in the arms of an angel. There's a black man trying to make money. It's like ridiculous. So I love conservatives for that. Like, hey, word, dude. Good job, man. Keep it going. And they walk off. Liberals got to freaking sing me a song, tap dance a little bit, get on their knees and kiss my big toe, apologize for their whiteness, and tell me that I'm the exception to the rule because all black people are stupid. And it's just like, damn, liberals, y'all really are so ignorant you can't see your ignorance. It's painful. I genuinely, I'd rather be ignored than praised for my disabilities. Fake disabilities, by the way. Anyway, that's all I was trying to say.
We were talking on Friday night about how the white leftists see everybody who's not them as junior members of humanity. So they see all people that aren't white as junior members of humanity on a lower level than them, who can't possibly succeed without their help and their limitless empathy, right? And you see it. I mean, we're hearing it here. Like, that is how they view everybody else. They're actually very extremely racist, right? It's not... Identitarianism is a leftist thing, right? the conservative mind doesn't see things in that way, or the actual real liberal mind, I should say, like the centrist liberal mind as well, right? And let's not forget, like up until even 15 years ago, most people who called themselves conservative or liberal were kind of centrist, and there was an enormous amount of overlap between them. Like everybody, all of those people agreed, yeah, you need to have a secure border, right? And you had the far leftists, but they were the fringe, right? Since then, they've swept through and they've taken over every institution. And in their minds, let's just repeat, they see everybody who's not white as junior members of humanity. And they show it. There was an article that came out, or a study that came out that not that long ago that showed that white leftists kind of lower their language. They speak differently. Let's see if we can find that actually. Let's see. White, well, it's probably liberals. They probably said white liberals speak to black people differently. Let's see if we can find that. Yes, white liberals dumb themselves down, from the Washington Post. The Washington Post, it's not a far-right blog. Oh, hold on. White liberals dumb themselves down when they speak to black people. A new study contends. This backs up my claim. That the white leftists view everybody who's not white as junior members of humanity, and they can't possibly get by without their protection and their limitless empathy, because they're just better than them, right? So they really owe them one. Streamer says, Joe Biden, poor kids are just as bright as white kids at an event for Asian and Hispanic voters. Yeah. I mean, they reveal themselves all the time, actually. Let's see. Actually, let's see what the comments on this are. Actually, we should look up that video. Let's look up that video. Hold on. I got you, streamer. Let's look that up. Joe Biden. Poor kids are just as bright as white kids. Oh, they tell them themselves. Let's see. How about this one from Time? YouTube. That's not the right one. Why does it send me to the wrong video half the time? All right. How about this one? Biden says poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. And he says he misspoke. Well, if by saying what he really thinks, if they call that misspeaking, I guess he did. All right, let's check this out.
Democratic frontrunner Joe Biden has been unleashing scorching attacks against President Trump this week on race. The former vice president accusing the president of being a racist who emboldens white supremacists by aligning himself with their cause. But it's Biden's bungling of his own remarks that's making headlines this morning. After a long day and night at the Iowa State Fair, speaking to a group of predominantly Asian and Hispanic voters.
What we should do is we should challenge these students. We should challenge students in these schools to have advanced placement programs in these schools. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Yep. They give away the game. This is funny. How white leftists see themselves after complaining about white people online. Yep. That's exactly it. It's a way to be virtuous without actually having to do anything, without actually having to risk anything. Love this dude. His content is spot on. White liberals are virtue signaling clowns. Yeah, but I don't really want to use the word liberal anymore because I think we need to use far left now. Because what we're seeing is not liberal. None of this is liberal. Right? Again, this isn't your old liberal burnout art teacher from the 80s. This guy says, as a successful Hispanic male, this has been my experience my entire life. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on. There's nothing more thrilling or gratifying than when you finally get to indicate your gender is X on your driver's license. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have to go back.
There it is. There it is. I just got it. I literally have like a full face of makeup on, and I'm.
So the gender on your driver's license is X. So is people just supposed to guess? Like, what? Do you need to like know calculus to figure out what her gender is? Because actually, I can tell just by looking, right? I can tell. I can actually tell. Maybe it's just a special talent I have, but I can tell just by looking.
Try not to cry. Yeah. That's. There it is. There it is. There it is.
It's X. It's who knows? Oh my God. The euphoria I felt when I saw X on my driver's license. When I saw that my gender was, I don't know. Man, the euphoria must have been incredible. It's been incredible, the euphoria there. So strange. It all feels so performative, doesn't it? To borrow a word from the left. It all feels very performative, doesn't it? Can it really mean anything? It just X. I'm X now. If anything, it just seems dehumanizing, right? Puts it in a man's wallet. I don't, maybe that's a dude. I don't know. I can't even tell anymore, honestly. Maybe X is the right thing on there. Her gender is X, formerly known as Twitter. Let's see. I've just had my mental illness validated on government property. How thrilling it must be. Yeah, we didn't used to encourage and affirm mental illness. Although, is it mental illness or is it just play acting? I tend to think that in the vast majority of cases, it's just play acting. It's just, I don't want to have to do anything to have a personality or to be interesting. So I could just do this. I could just say that I'm X. Right. And now I just wear terrible makeup and have bad haircuts. Right. And to pretend that I'm some, gender fluid or something. And then I don't have to do any other work. I don't have to get good at anything. I don't have to be talented or interesting or funny. Anyway. Let's see. Streamer says, what happened to the good old days of just saying you have a mental problem, go away? I don't know. Anyway, I like to do this when we watch these. Just have the volume off and I think this gives you a different perspective on the whole thing. Or I don't think Gandalf likes her.
You shall not pass!
Let's move on. All right, let's check this out from Joe Rogan. He's got Shane Gillis on there.
I watched it on TV. You remember that night when we opened bombing?
Oh,
it was just on the news.
I remember.
We're like, here's us fucking up some other city.
Yeah. Boom.
We watched it, and I was
You
like,
see the tracer missiles?
yeah. I remember being a kid and being like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah. It was fucking weird.
It's weird.
What's really crazy is that they never showed the evidence of weapons of mass destruction that they should have. They should have had something that would let them go to war, but they never had any real evidence.
Hey, remember when Alex Jones got sued for $1 billion?
More.
And then
I think it's more than
the
$1
people
billion.
that killed 1 million people in Iraq didn't face any repercussions.
Crazy.
What a time.
What a time.
Huh?
Isn't that nuts? Isn't that nuts?
What the heck?
What's the real misinformation?
I said, what the heck?
Yeah.
I watched it on TV.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, again, talking about 20 years plus ago, New York Times trying to convince everybody there was weapons of mass destruction. Right? They never got sued for $1 billion, but all of the media that was all of the media that was a part of that, complicit in that, what was really obviously a hoax, right? Oh, love the fact that Alex Jones got sued for $1 billion. They celebrated him getting banned off every platform, right? But who are the real liars? Okay. Singapore's former prime minister on wokeness based. So Singapore's former prime minister on wokeness. Now this makes sense. So the rest of the world is not woke, right? Like China has a saying, has a word for white leftists. They call them, what do they call them? Baizu or something like that. They call them the white left. And they mock them because it's so absurd, right? But wokeness is viewed very differently around the rest of the world. And here's an example. Let's take a look.
In the West, they got a movement called wokeness, where you are super sensitive about other people's issues, and you become hypersensitive when other people somehow or others say things or mention things or refer to you without the respect which you or your super subgroup feel you are entitled to. It leads to very extreme attitudes and social norms, particularly in some academic institutions, universities. You talk about safe spaces, you talk about appropriate pronouns, you talk about how I'm about to say something which may be offensive to you. If you don't want to hear it, perhaps you'd like to leave now. And life becomes very burdensome. And I don't think we want to go in that direction. It does not make us a more resilient, cohesive society with a strong sense of solidarity. We must be more robust. In the West,
well, treating everybody like children does not make you a robust society or a cohesive one, right? Like trigger warnings, right? Oh, this might upset you. You might want to leave. That doesn't make a person more robust. That makes a person weak. That's treating a person. That's treating. If you're 20 years old in college, you're an adult. That's treating an adult as if they're a child. Never mind, like a 40-year-old or 50-year-old person, you might be giving a trigger warning to. Although very few of those would actually need it because they haven't been trained to be weak and self-pitying and narcissistic. But it really is if the goal is to poison the West, to weaken the West, to destroy the West from the inside, it's a pretty good tool. You just make everybody incredibly weak. You have the institutions, you have, educational institutions training people to never grow up, training people to be weak mentally, psychologically, and spiritually. Just train everybody to be a perpetual child, to not reproduce themselves. And even if they do, they're not going to do a very good job of being parents because they're just really adult children themselves. It's really genius, really, when you think about it. If you want to destroy the West, get the West to destroy itself. Turn it into just this infantile mass of whining, complaining children, or as many as possible, as many of the people as possible, because it does drag everybody else down. It doesn't need to be everybody, even if it's only 20%. I mean, that will weaken your society enormously. I mean, just taking care of these people, these adult children. And somebody like this guy can see it. He's not confused about any of this. He's not confused about whether it's your strength, whether it makes you stronger, more cohesive. Clearly, it makes you weaker. And hopefully we'll be able to purge all that nonsense before it actually does. Eventually, it will destroy the West if it's left to fester for long enough. Let's see. Thought this was kind of interesting. A motorway that stretches for 20 miles has a huge solar panel strip down the middle with a subterranean cycle path underneath. This type of renewable energy innovation certainly beats the crass logic of plastering mass-scale solar panels on prime farmland. See, stuff like this, I'm fine with. I mean, if you can eke out a little bit of extra energy through stuff like this, that's not just like wrecking farmland, say, fine. As long as you're not thinking magically, if you're thinking, okay, well, we get some benefit from this, 1% or something like that. As long as you're not thinking magically and thinking that because you've been able to do this, that now you can somehow get all of your energy from these renewables. Of course, you can't. There's a reason why Germany is using more coal than ever now, right? It's not because that their renewables worked for them. It helped. They get some of it from that, but not enough to remain an industrialized country. They've been in the process of actually deindustrializing themselves, which is why they've had to go back to coal again. I mean, shutting down their nuclear plants was probably not the swiftest idea either. But stuff like that, fine, right? I'm not opposed to getting a little bit here and there where you can, where it makes sense. But I'm not for this fantasy of somehow that you're going to be able to do that and it's going to be able to keep you warm in Calgary in January and February. That's silly. Why can't we just be reasonable, right? Why can't we just be reasonable, for God's sakes? God damn it. Anyway. Let's check this out. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo admits Trump case wouldn't have been brought if he wasn't running for president. So why? I guess he was drummed out of the party, right? He was kicked out. They wanted to get rid of him. Because I don't know exactly what. I think he had an affair or something. I can't remember. Cuomo, I'm talking about. Andrew Cuomo. So I'm surprised. So maybe, I don't know, maybe this is a revenge. He's going on a bit of a revenge tour or something. I don't know. But this is not the sort of thing you would normally.
One in New York, the hush.
This is not the sort of thing you'd normally see from a career Democrat.
The trial in New York, the one he got convicted for.
Oh, and it's not something you really expect from Bill Maher either, to be honest.
Was the greatest fundraising bonanza ever.
Yes.
He was lagging behind Biden, and now he's pulled quite a bit ahead. That trial was the greatest reason people had to send their checks for $5, $10, $25, whatever dollars to Donald Trump. So I was always with you on the one in New York, the hush money trial. I don't think they should have brought that one. It was just always going to look like a sex case, and people were always just going to look at it that way. So anyway.
That case, the Attorney General's case in New York, frankly, should have never been brought. And if his name was not Donald Trump, and if he wasn't running for president, I'm the former AG in New York, I'm telling you that case would have never been brought. And that's what is offensive to people. And it should be, because if there's anything left, it's belief in the justice system.
The trial in New York.
Surprised to see that. Surprised to see that. I mean, he's actually telling the truth there. Maybe it's just he's got nothing left to lose. I don't know. Antipop says, my RV solar setup powers my greenhouse. 2 fans and a mister. Yeah, I mean, stuff like that makes sense. I'm going up to do some camping. I'm taking a couple of like little solar chargers up with me, right? All this stuff's great. I just know that it's not going to run my house. I know that. Or my car. Let's see. This guy says this is absolutely false. He's been politically persecuted since 2016. When Hillary Clinton, I don't know, to this day has not been touched. Well, he has been persecuted since even before actually 2015, I think. "100% political, 100% communist fascist persecution." All right. Let's move on. Already 2 hours in. Now look at this. Good Lord. Good Lord. It's a puppy. Its best friend is a rooster, and it rides on the rooster. And the rooster seems to like it. I mean, I don't know. Can't we all just get along? I guess that's the point, right? Can't we all just get along? So the rooster takes him up the stairs. I'm surprised the rooster is smart enough to kind of figure that out, to know what was going on. Anyway, I think it's adorable. Let's move on. Oh, and my favorite part of this is that at no part did Justin Trudeau burst into the shot and try and give that puppy and that rooster puberty blockers or vaginoplasties, because that really would have ruined it. And that's the sort of thing you'd want to do. Let's keep going. Let's see. We've got a shit ton left. What is going on here? If a doctor warns a fat person about health problems associated with being obese, they are fat phobic. That's crazy. Okay.
So, as a fat person, I often dread medical appointments because of blatant medical fat phobia.
Blatant medical fat phobia. Allow me this one indulgence. Medical fat phobia. Okay.
The last OB appointment I went to, the provider blamed everything on my weight and told me that I needed to go on a medication that made me feel really terrible. This OB appointment that I just went to, I've been dreading, and the provider was amazing. She asked me what my pronouns are. She asked me about my name. She made me feel super comfortable, asked me about my trauma history so that she knew how to touch me in ways that were not harmful.
Jesus Christ. You're going to die. You are literally eating yourself to death. Somebody needs to tell you that. The person who doesn't tell you that, the person who tells you the nice things that you want to hear, doesn't give a shit about you. They don't care if you die.
She just was like, great. And I was crying before getting my blood drawn because I just never have good experiences with medical providers. And so, I don't know, I just wanted to share. So, as a fat person,
she doesn't want the doctors to tell her the truth. She wants them to tell her sweet little lies. She wants them to be empathetic. If they were any doctor who doesn't tell her, look, you are going to die. You're going to get diabetes. Maybe your feet will get chopped off. You're going to have a heart attack. You are literally eating yourself to death. It's not healthy. It's not okay. You need to know the truth. If I didn't tell you the truth, it would be completely unethical. So I'm doing the ethical thing and telling you the hard truth that you don't want to hear because it's true. Jesus Christ. I mean, it's just demented. I mean, it's demented. What leftism has done to people it's shameful. It's truly shameful. And you know that she's probably on TikTok 15 hours a day because you know she's not exercising, watching body positivity videos and like Lizzo videos, right? And telling her, no, you're beautiful. You're perfect just the way you are. No, being fat isn't unhealthy. That's a lie. Let's go back to the beginning again. That's just a myth, that being morbidly obese, which for some reason is called morbidly obese, that's just a myth that that's bad for you.
So, as a fat person, I often dread medical appointments because of blatant medical fat phobia.
Medical fat phobia. How does that make any fucking sense? Medical fat phobia. Is medical fat phobia, is that just simply the doctor saying you're too fat? Here's what's going to happen to you because we know exactly what's going to happen. This is all settled science, right? The whole diabetes thing, that's all settled science. The whole heart attack thing, right? We know what's going to happen to you. I'm not guessing. We don't have to guess what the consequences of your morbid obesity are. We know what they are. So is that fat phobia? The left has this amazing, insane addiction to just attaching phobia to true statements, to just saying that true statements are phobic in some way. They have this addiction to it. It's weird. They just think that they can just change words or add a word or add something to a word and it just changes reality. It doesn't. Reality always has the best argument. Always. Calling medical science phobic is not going to help you when they're cutting your feet off, right? Or when you stroke out or die of a heart attack at 35. I don't know how old this person is. I can't tell under all of that fat. I don't know. I mean, it's just maddening, right? I mean, like you wonder, I mean, what about this person's family? They're probably concerned. How do they feel about, a doctor not being on the level with her? Xerxes says, no doubt she requires a CPAP machine for sleep. It's all predictable. Yep. Anyway, it's it's quite tragic, really, because I think there are lots of people that are just too stupid to see through it, really, or they just don't have the mental strength to accept the truth. The truth will always set you free. Whether it's a good truth or it's a hard truth, it will always set you free. Reality will set you free. You may not like it, but you're better off with it, always. Thought this was interesting. So CNN airs a 5-minute segment highlighting how Trump voters better understand the United States than CNN, with interviewees correctly stating that we're, quote, a republic, not a democracy. Well, the United States is a constitutional republic, not a democracy. It's a constitutional republic that uses democratic, what's the word I'm looking for? Democratic processes, but it's not like a democracy. It's not a direct democracy. That's mob rule, right? I think everybody watching this knows that. It's a constitutional republic using democratic principles. And that's not the same thing. And they think that they're owning them here. Let's watch this.
President Biden touts his re-election campaign as a fight to preserve democracy. But if you ask some Trump supporters, the former president is not a threat to democracy because the United States is not a democracy. CNN's Donnie O'Sullivan spoke to some of those supporters.
What happens if Trump loses?
I don't see him losing.
I don't think he lost the last election, to be honest.
Do you think he's going to win?
Yes, without a doubt. No doubt.
What if he doesn't this time? what happened to the country?
We're done. We're done. If Biden talks about democracy, saving democracy. They're the ones that are killing democracy.
Obviously, there's a lot of criticisms of Trump that he is bad for democracy, that he's bad for American democracy.
We are a republic.
We're a republic.
We are
We're
not a democracy.
representative republic. We're not a democracy.
It's so weird, right? Like the Chiron. Some Trump supporters say America isn't a democracy. Like they think this is known. Some Trump supporters say America isn't a democracy. Oh, like they're right. It is a republic. It is. They are correct. It's weird, right? Like there must be somebody in the pipeline from going out to do these interviews to getting it on air, producers, that guy, the interviewer, somebody along the pipeline knows that, yet they still push it. It seems incredibly cynical to me. I mean, they're just so comfortable with the idea that they can tell their viewers literally anything and they will just swallow it. I mean, what viewers they still have left. It's stunning, isn't it? I mean, oh man. All right. Let's keep going. So there are adults who love Disney, and then there's adults who love dressing like Disney characters, like her. I have not watched this. I'll be watching this with you guys. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Day 2 of our Disneyland trip. Today I'm bounding as Jasmine. So I have my sequins loungefly bag, my favorite. My little Mickey ears I made myself. I have my earrings, my little genie lamp. I have a dress that I thrifted, and then my blue shoes to match my dress.
Whatever you're doing, it's not working. Whatever you're doing, it's not working. Just stop. Give up. It's just, you're never going to be Jasmine. Ah, dear. I took my kids many years ago to Disneyland in Anaheim, and it was hell on earth. It was absolute hell on earth. I'm not even sure they enjoyed it that much. It was like baking hot and like millions of huge lineups. So you're just standing in the heat, in the sun, in these giant lineups, and the food is garbage. All of the food is garbage. Everything in there is garbage. It was living hell. It was just loud and awful. And it was, I think, probably one of the worst days of my life. I fucking hated it. I hated being there, and I couldn't wait to leave. Why would you want to go as an adult by yourself to Disneyland? I don't get it, personally. I know some people do. Whatever. I mean, do your own thing, fine. But I don't understand the appeal. You spend all this money to go and stand in lineups and then eat garbage food, like terrible food. Like, not just that it's like junk food, but it's actually tastes bad. And you just feel sick after you eat it. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I think if you've turned into this guy, you've made mistakes in your life. You've made the wrong decisions over and over and over again. I would say this guy has just every important, consequential decision that he's ever had to make in his life, he's gotten wrong. Ending with, I think I might dress up as a Disney princess and go to Disneyland. Definitely the wrong choice. And I just feel like it's just been a long series of this person's entire life of just wrong decision after wrong decision. Antipop says, should have at least shaved. Streamer says, maybe this person is going after clicks. I guess his pride was worth the $8.50 he made on TikTok. Let's see. Rubbub says, the face he has on just screams desperation for attention. Yes. Antipop says, eat the bugs. Well, they probably, hey, at Disneyland, the food's probably all made out of bugs now too, right? So I know they were starting to turn food and bugs into food everywhere. Yeah, it's probably Disney signed a deal. They probably got on that early with the WEF, signed some deal for bug pizza or something. I wouldn't be surprised if half the food, at least at Disneyland, is made out of bugs at this point, because it's good for the environment. Let's see, what else we got? I don't think we'll get through every one of these because I don't want to go too long tonight. Employees at the OCF Coffee House in Philadelphia voted to unionize. 1 week later, all 3 stores closed down. Now they're protesting the closure. Yeah, I guess the coffee house probably couldn't afford the $50 an hour that they wanted, that the union wanted. So I guess we just have to go out of business. Leftism is just so self-defeating. Always. Let's hear what these entitled brats have to say.
You can't hide. We all see your greedy side. Former employees of OCF Coffee House rallied outside of the now closed Fairmount Cafe on Tuesday.
We all see your greedy side, says the woman that it's impossible not to hate just from looking at once. The greedy side of the 3 coffee stores. I mean, what are the margins on these? I know for a restaurant, the margins are like 2%. If you're getting like 3% margin, 3% profit, you're doing great for a restaurant. What is it for a coffee house? I can't imagine it's much more than that. The greedy side, maybe you just priced yourselves out. You priced yourselves out of a job. Maybe it has nothing to do with greed. The problem is with these people, they don't understand how a business works. They don't know what the profit margin is. I'm guaranteeing you a coffee house is not getting 50% profits. Everything is so self-defeating.
Tuesday.
We've been paid really bad wages, and this was
We've been paid really bad wages. You're aware you're working at a coffee shop. Are you aware of that? Did anybody remind you? Oh, my wages suck working here at this coffee shop. Yeah, it's a coffee shop. Guess what? The wages are going to suck. Would you want to be paid like a CEO? Probably.
our attempt to get better wages and make the place that we love better.
The coffee shops are owned by OCF Realty. The real estate brokerage announced the closures to employees in an email, which included 2 other locations in South Philly. Workers like Alex Simpson say they were shocked.
I am pretty crushed, especially when it's such a blatant response to our union process. Like, this comes a week after.
What are they supposed to just subsidize the coffee house to subsidize the wages that you want? Because you work at a coffee shop? I really feel like these people are incapable of thinking rationally. Like, they must have gone to college, right? They're incapable of thinking actually critically. Let's see. What do we got here? Streamer says, it's amazing how they all look exactly what you imagine them to. Yep, it's true. Cobra, how you doing? Good to see you in the chat. Let's see. Oh, Hollywood Arby's just closed after 50 years. Yeah, I saw that. Again, it's because they passed that minimum wage law there, and like fast food restaurants can't afford to pay. I think it's $20 an hour. It's not. How is anybody surprised that they're losing their job? I mean, it's unbelievable. Not only that, but Oakland, there was an In-N-Out burger. Like, this is I think the most successful fast food place in California, and it's good actually. It's I've been there a few times. At 2 ones in LA, and they're really good and they're really popular, but they just moved out of Oakland because there was too much crime there. So I guess maybe the double whammy of the minimum wage hike and crime, just no point even doing business there, right? I think there's been an enormous amount of little restaurants, and I imagine probably coffee shops and just any little small business that are closing because of, unless they can just, it's a really small and they don't have to hire anybody. They can just, do it like a family business. But yeah, I mean, it's always All of these left-wing ideas are always self-defeating. It's incredible. And then they blame greed. They blame greed because the business can't afford to pay them the wages that they're demanding. The businesses, the small businesses can't afford to pay them what they're demanding. Then they call that greed. Let's see. All right. Instead of protesting the closure, they should be job searching. Be careful what you ask for, but they don't think, though. They don't think about things. They can't see any further than their own shadows. Oops, be careful what you wish for. Oh, well, time to fill out those job applications for the local tattoo shops and cannabis dispensaries. Econ 101, when it becomes too much of a hassle or not profitable to run a business, the owners close it down. Now these workers have the opportunity to open their own coffee house. Well, that would be a disaster. Well, that's the thing, you see. They don't want the risk, is the thing. They don't want to, like, invest their own money into it, and they're not going to have any money anyway. But they don't want the risk part of it. They just want reward part of it, right? Oh, God. Yeah, always look exactly like you'd think. All right. Let's move on. Let's see what we got. Okay, everybody, got a question for you. Ruin a job interview in 3 words. I'll go first. My pronouns are. Hold on, I'm just going to, while you guys are thinking about that, I'm just going to be away for 1 second. All right. Rumbum says, so it's ruin a job interview in 3 words. I say, my pronouns are. Rumbum says, straight white male. At Disney, absolutely. And Raider Streamer says, I am white. At Disney, again. I just made a video about that. If you're not subscribed to the channel already, subscribe now, especially on Rumble. And you can watch all of my wonderful and nutritious videos. They'll just come up like on the screen when you go onto the Rumble app, and you'll see them. And they'll be right there, and you can just watch them, and then you'll be better off. Happier and healthier. You can't really go wrong. Also, drop a like on the stream as well, because apparently that's helpful in some way. So, and it's good. It's a little bit of good karma for you. You might need that karma one day. Let's see. Let's see. Oh, I like this. I like this. This is so typical too. This is Taral Patel. He's running for county commissioner in Texas. He posted this screenshot of a collage of hate mail he received, which he attributed to Trump. Of course. He was just arrested and charged with a felony for creating fake accounts and sending himself racist hate mail. Of course. So much racism in America that he had to create his own. I know there's a shortage. There's more demand than there is supply, unfortunately. So just make it up. The modern left has no problem lying, right? Doesn't really matter. Because, you know, there is racism, right? So what difference does it make if I just made it up? So all of these comments. It's really hard to on Twitter, like how many of the comments are real? How many of them are just coming from a warehouse in China somewhere or somewhere else where they just got like 500 phones hooked up and is constantly sending out bullshit? How much of it is just people who are just trying to make either side look bad on purpose, like kind of like false flag tweets or something? You really have to wonder. I think there's a lot of it that goes around. But the problem is for this guy is that he needed something. What did he need? He needed to be oppressed. Because what is oppression? Oppression is the coin of the realm now for the leftists. If you ain't oppressed, you're nobody. If you ain't oppressed, you're nothing. So you got to be oppressed. And if those racists that you know are out there, you know they're definitely out there. If those racists aren't sending you racist things, well, what are you going to do? You can't wait around forever for them to do it. You better just make it up. And they're going to send you that eventually anyway, right? Because they're definitely a bunch of racists that hate him. So just get the ball rolling. You know, make up some fake accounts and just send them to himself, because definitely people are racist against them. They must be. Because he watches Joy Reid. He watches MSNBC, you know? I guess they're just being too lazy. So he just got to get it going. It's basically as if they really were hate mails sent to him. He just sent them to himself before the racists could do it, I guess. It is hilarious. I mean, they really do see it as a virtue to be oppressed or to have a racism done against you. They really do see it as a virtue. They see they can't mistake the value that it has for them to get the other lefties to rally around them, I guess. It's a way of getting attention. They think it's good attention. They think that victimhood is good attention. I'm saying they don't think that, you know, being, I don't know, brave or talented or moral or ethical, they don't really see those as good values. They don't see those as virtues. They see just being a victim as a virtue. They imagine that it will help them. I'm not sure it's going to continue to help them that much anymore, to be honest. I think people are getting really sick of this, and people have seen enough of these hoax that it's kind of a boy who cried wolf thing. I mean, what do we know? We know that he wasn't actually getting racist hate messages, so he had to make fake accounts and send them to himself to convince other people that he was, to get those oppression bucks. It's pathetic, isn't it? I think that this stuff is not, like, it's lost its power. Even if they were real now, people would go, oh, he just sent them to himself. You know, who cares? Let's see. Streamer says, so if you're not a victim class, you can be a purveyor of climate fear porn. Well, that's true. You can do that. You can just be, you can just be Greta Thunberg. Yeah. Turned out that Greta was just a commie the whole time, because it's always Marxism underneath all of it, you know. So he's running for county commissioner. He thought this is his way to get a leg up on the competition. Be a victim. Be a victim. Maybe that would have worked in the past. I don't know. Would it still work? I guess it depends where you are. He's in Texas, so I don't know if it's going to work there. But anyway, he's an asshole. So Quentin Tarantino is harassed and heckled in a restaurant by pro-Palestine activists. Pro-Palestine. I wonder if they're pro-Hamas activists. Why are you a Zionist piece of shit going to Israel? That's what they're saying to him. All right. Let's take a look at this.
Hey. Why are you a Zionist piece of shit going to Israel? Quentin Tarantino! Quentin Tarantino!
I mean, that's just nothing but constructive, right? That's going to do nothing but win people to your cause. Harassing a film director, a famous filmmaker who's got nothing to fucking do with any of that shit while he's harassing him while he's having dinner. That's going to win people to your side. These people are out of their minds. Genuinely out of their minds. How do they, like, what, in what world do you think this is going to endear you to anybody? Just a guy having dinner. What has he got to do with Israel or Palestine or Gaza or any of that shit? Nothing. Pro-Hamas supporters wield a grotesque arsenal from relentless harassment to outright violence, mirroring depraved fiends who are steeped in moral decay and intellectual rot. Their tactics are a chilling alignment with chaos and destruction. Yeah. Anytime that Antifa is on your side, you're in the wrong. Anytime that Antifa is on your side, is supporting you, you're bad. That's just a hard and fast rule. Anytime that the revolutionary communists are with you, you're doing the wrong thing. You're wasting your life. You're on the wrong side of history. All right, we already saw that. How was this allowed on British television? So this is from a show called Little Britain. You guys have probably seen it or seen. Yeah, that's not making it on British TV these days. That's not making it on the BBC these days. Absolutely not. But it's pretty good. Pretty good. Let's see what else we got. Let's watch these lunatics with The View. Rachel Maddow and The View fear-mongering about what Trump could do if he's reelected. Oh, dear. What could he do? He wouldn't have all of his political opponents and their lawyers and everybody he's ever met put in jail, would he? He wouldn't do what Biden is doing, would he? That would be terrifying.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because there's been a lot of talk about Trump seeking retribution if he gets into office, for his legal troubles, for his personal troubles, for his hair, whatever. He always has somebody to blame, you know? So you said recently that you thought that you, as an outspoken critic, could be a target yourself. Some people think that sounds overdramatic, but I'm right there with you.
These harpies are just, they literally are determined to burn. It seems to me their motivation is just to burn down their own country. I mean, can they be so stupid as to not see what? I mean, I guess they can be so stupid as to not see what's been happening to Trump and how hypocritical they are in their statements around it. I guess sometimes people are just that stupid, that ill-informed. But let's keep going.
I think that he is so vindictive that he will go after however he has to, through the IRS maybe, or even
through the IRS. You mean like Obama? I do think that these people actually do know nothing. I think they are completely ignorant and they just operate in like stereotypes that they've been taught by CNN.
You know, through sponsors to get us off the air, maybe, or you. Yeah. How seriously should we be taking that?
Well, so I was asked, am I worried about me? And my answer was, I'm worried about all of us. I'm no more worried about me than I am worried about everybody in the country. I think it's bad to have somebody saying, give me as much power as you can in this country so I can use it to go.
Is it bad to keep people in solitary confinement for years without a trial or even charges like happened to January 6 people? Is that bad, Rachel Maddow? Is that bad? I wonder. I don't think she'd have an answer for that.
After other Americans, so I can use it to go after these subhuman internal enemies and I'll destroy them. Like, that's just not a good system for anybody. And I don't think anybody's safe if that's the sort of basis on which he wants to get more power.
Remember when Nixon...
It's like a bizarro world. It's like an alternate universe. Is it not? Can these people not see the hypocrisy in what they're saying? I mean, are they completely unaware that their views are just a complete inversion of reality? Have they not? I mean, they're talking about news all the time, every day. These people, are they genuinely too stupid to have noticed what's been happening to Trump? I mean, I'm kind of at a loss for words. I mean, okay, changing laws so you can charge Trump with a misdemeanor and then turn it into a felony and then have a judge instruct the jury that they don't even have to be unanimous on what Trump did. If they all just think he did something, then he's guilty. I mean, they must have been keeping up with it, right? I mean, that surely there must be some neuron in the back of Rachel Maddow's brain that went, oh, that kind of seems like the thing we've been warning that Trump would do. It's weird, like an attorney general campaigning on going to get Trump, no charges, has no idea what the crimes are, just saying, I'm going to get him. There must be some neuron in the back of Joy Behar's brain somewhere, some lonely neuron back there that's screaming out, oh, hey, well, the thing you're saying Trump's going to do, they're kind of doing that to Trump, so there must be something. There must be something in there, right? It's truly, I mean, do they know that they're full of shit? Do they know it? I mean, are they just purely lying? Most political accusations are projected admissions of guilt. I mean, they've watched what's happened to Trump.
So let me ask you this, because there's been a lot of talk.
These people have watched what's happened to Trump ever since he became president. And it's just never entered their mind that maybe some of this isn't on the up and up. Or is it just that they're happy that Trump has been persecuted and they're sad that somebody might actually have to answer for all of this eventually? But they might actually find people that have actually lied and broken the law in order to persecute him. I don't know. I mean, I find the whole thing totally bizarre. They always accuse us of what they are actually doing.
The former president has stated an intention to weaponize the Department of Justice against his enemies.
Earlier this afternoon.
Well, she's just lying. She's definitely just lying.
Donald Trump was arraigned on a New York Supreme Court indictment returned by a Manhattan grand jury on 34 felony counts of falsifying business records in the first degree.
The former president.
At some point, one of these people might have thought, well, it is strange that they're prosecuting using novel legal theories that have never been used before. Nobody's ever been prosecuted before to prosecute the former president in an election year. I mean, something must have, again, there must have been some lonely neuron somewhere at the back of their brains. That must have thought, well, it does seem a bit odd, doesn't it? Does seem a bit odd that they had to change a law so that they could charge Trump with something and then turn it into something that's never been done before, and then give bizarre instructions designed to guarantee a guilty verdict against Trump. It does seem a bit odd, but they act as if it's all totally normal. And that's what Trump is going to do. I find it very, 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 very. Maybe they are just total. She's definitely a total liar. I don't know. It comes down to, what do you guys think? Are they stupid, lying, or both? I think I know the answer. This one says, what scares me is that they are projecting and generally actually do what they accuse the other side of doing. Yeah. The View is perpetually trying to terrify the menopausal voting base. Yep. Anybody who watches The View is a lost cause. Well, I can't disagree with that. Radio Streamer says both. I agree. All right, what do we got next? Let's see. I can't do Trudeau. I just can't do him. Can't do Trudeau. It's too frustrating. Here is Camille Paglia warning us. This was back in the 90s. Warning us about what was coming.
How the universities have abandoned what should be the center of the university, which is learning. Okay, all right. Now, I'm on the record. My last book, Sex, Art, and American Culture, had a whole transcript of a multicultural course I taught at the university. Okay, with an Asian professor. Okay, I believe in enlightened multiculturalism based on scholarship.
What's the difference in unenlightened and enlightened multiculturalism?
Okay, I'm totally opposed to any politicized agenda in the classroom. Okay, I do not want this crappy melodrama being taught to our students that Western civilization is filled with evil patriarchs, and out there are the wonderful people of color. Okay?
Well, but I don't think anyone that I know of that believes that. Well, just think of what you just said.
The new
think of what you
historicists,
said.
listen, you don't know Stephen Greenblatt, the new historicists. Okay, who are? I mean, my God, every word out of their mouth is about the evil of Western culture. You
That
don't know
all
how bad
Western
it is.
culture is evil,
Yeah,
and
you don't know how bad
Asian
it is.
or African culture is unflawed.
These people in the who have control of the university's humanities departments now
Yeah.
do not believe in great art. Okay, they do not. They believe the dead white European males are just have been canonized.
Well, Skip Gates does.
Yeah, how did they take over? How did the lunatics take over the asylum? Well, because of people like Charlie Rose. Well, I mean, she's telling him what she's seeing in the universities, being at the universities, and he's just refusing to believe. Reminds me of Dennis Prager telling Bill Maher about what was it? I think tampons in the men's room or something. And Bill Maher just refused to believe him, even though it was all you could Google it and find out that it was true in like 30 seconds. Just refused to believe. All these people just refused to believe the lunacy from people who were there and knew and were warning them. It's a great tragedy of Western civilization. It really is. You're from Bill Ekman. I'm sitting next to a top scientist who was a professor at UCSF, University of California, San Francisco. She is explaining how higher education is failing us. Among other things, she just told me that the words excellence and resilience are no longer permissible speech at UCSF because they are, because they are ableist and therefore discriminatory. She says the institution is past the point of no return. Excellence and resilience, no longer permissible speech because they are ableist and therefore discriminatory. So they're not allowed to discriminate at that university against people who are excellent or resilient. Well, no, sorry, they're not, I guess they're allowed to discriminate. I guess what it is they're allowed to discriminate against people who display excellence and resilience because they're oppressors, right? Those people are discriminatory. So I guess you're not allowed to tell anybody, well, try harder. What is resilience? Resilience is just continuing to try, getting knocked down and getting back up again. How do you find excellence? How do you become excellent at something? Well, by working hard at it. You don't get to be excellent at something without that. It takes hard work. How do you get to be a great guitar player? You have to practice a lot. You have to try. You have to be resilient. Again, these institutions, I really feel like any university, and I absolutely would advocate for this in Canada, any Canadian university, well, all the Canadian universities get taxpayer funds, and I think it should all be cut off immediately. At least anyone that is teaching woke nonsense, anyone that says that excellence and resilience are discriminatory should get no taxpayer funds. They should be on their own. Figure out for yourselves. I think if that happened, all of these, grievance studies departments would be gone fairly soon. Right? If the taxpayers are subsidizing these programs that exist to do nothing but destroy Canada. And it's the same in the States, and it's the same in the UK. It's the same everywhere. Right? Not a penny should they get. If there's some idiot alum who doesn't know what's happening or actually agrees with it and wants to give money, okay, fine. But I think that just by simply defunding them, by just saying that taxpayers aren't going to fund the destruction of their own societies anymore, I think that would go a long way to solving the problem. Rumbum says, I thought it was hilarious when they put the tampons in male restrooms in schools, and the media was freaking out when the boys did what boys do and destroyed it for shits and giggles. Yeah, it was a major freak out in the media, which shows how detached the media truly is in Canada, because I don't think there was many just normal people, regular Canadians, that didn't see that and go, yeah, I get it. I get it. They probably did the right thing. Let's see. Colin Wright adds to this in the comments. Once politics, allegiance to DEI, became linked to hiring, viewpoint diversity in universities ratcheted down immensely. It became a positive feedback loop, making the political skew increasingly dramatic, especially among recent hires. It's hard to see how to reverse it now. Well, I say cut off all public funds for one. Let's see. How about this one from Geiger Capital? A public school teacher in New York told me that she can no longer address her class as boys and girls because it isn't inclusive. How can it not be inclusive? I mean, that's all that there is, right? The rest of it's all just made up gibberish and fantasies. Our education system is focused on absolute nonsense instead of education. Again, we're in schools. The gender stuff is just made up abstractions. It's just fantasies. It's just this trivial redefinition of the word gender to mean this, again, just this infinite series of abstractions that have no connection, no mooring in reality. They're just made up. These are just abstract ideas. They don't mean anything. At the end of the day, we're still a sexually reproducing, sexually dimorphous species. End of story. Period. That's it. The rest of it's just imagination. It's just imagination land. It's just fantasy land. None of it's fucking real, and none of it should be in a school, in any place of learning. Certainly not one funded by taxpayers. Taxpayers shouldn't fund institutions that are going to lie and confuse their children. That's bullshit. Yeah, it's a major problem in the West. I'm not black-pilled on it. I think we can turn it around. I think it's just too silly. All right, what are we going for next? I think this is worth hearing. So this is from the UK. Let's hear what she has to say.
So I would like to talk about the march that happened on the 1st of June at Westminster. I was there, and I'm telling you, the reason why I'm doing this video is to show you that this march has got absolutely nothing to do with race. Because I went there, and obviously I'm clearly not fully white, and we were treated so lovely by everybody that was there. My son and I went. Everybody looked after us really well, made us feel so welcome. We was even given like loads of sweets. Like the whole time we were there, he was giving us sweets and flags. And it was absolutely lovely coming together with everyone. It's got nothing to do with skin color. This is to do with good and evil. This is between right and wrong, truth and lies. And the fact that I just come home today from a day out to witness walking past my house, a man in the middle of the street praying on a carpet is the reason why we are doing these marches, because it's going to get to a point where our rights are going to be taken away from us, and what we were founded on as a Christian country is being taken away. This is a Christian country. This is not a Muslim country. So if you want to practice your Muslim beliefs, do it where you are. Go back there or come here and practice Christianity. That is what this situation's about. Every person I met, I've never felt so safe in all my life, because the fact that I was just there supporting this country and understanding the movement was the whole point of it. And the reason why I do these videos is because you can't play the race card, because I'm not white, I'm not black, I'm just me. But I'm clearly not fully English, and I was completely accepted because it's got nothing to do with that. And if we don't start speaking up and we keep compromising, we're going to end up with this country becoming a Muslim country, and it's going to be founded on a lie. So I'm going to go to the next march, and I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to start blogging more and vlogging about, now I understand what is going on. I can see the changes that are happening drastically. And the problem is,
she's like the worst nightmare of the left. She's like the worst nightmare of like British media, of the left-wing politicians, of the far left activists. She's the worst, their worst nightmare, because she puts the lie to their lie of everybody who disagrees with us is racist, right? That's why she's not going to get on any BBC panels, right? They're terrified of people like her. You know, when they talk about diversity, diverse voices, they don't mean actual diverse voices. They mean total agreement. They mean just monoculture, leftist monoculture with everybody agrees. That's what it is. They don't care. She will not count as a, she will not count
is you can't
as a, she won't count as a diverse voice to them, right? Because they're not really looking, when the left talks about diverse voices, they're not looking for that. They're looking for monoculture. Everybody agrees with them. And that's it. Everybody has to think the same thing. Just one homogenous ideological blob. Anyway, let's continue. Let's see. What do we got here? Oh, this is funny. From lips of TikTok. During the San Francisco mayoral debate, London Breed exposed a candidate by asking him to name 3 drag queens in San Francisco, and he couldn't. He then desperately rants that he's super pro LGBTQ. What a clown show. Okay, we got to watch this. I mean, it's beyond parody, right? I keep saying that the left is trying to destroy satire and parody.
I'd like to ask Mark a question. You were at the Harvey Milk LGBT Democratic Club and couldn't name any LGBT advisors to your campaign. You were at the debate last week and couldn't name any drag queens on your own. I was wondering.
You couldn't name any drag queens on your own. You can't make this up. You can't. Truly is stranger than fiction these days.
If you could, this is an opportunity to redeem yourself. And if you could name 3 LGBTQ advisors for your campaign and 3 drag queens in San Francisco.
Do you see the smug look on her face there? Like she's just owned him. She owned him because he couldn't name 3 drag queens. This is what leftist politics has devolved to. What that actually matters in a debate. That apparently actually matters, or she believes that it does. That's what it's degraded to. I mean, we're getting near the end point of this, right? The logical end point of leftism in places like San Francisco, like the most far left places. You know, they're 5 or 10 years ahead of other, places that aren't quite there yet. All right, let's see this guy grovel.
So we're not gonna revise the drag queen question from last week. But what I will say is I'm incredibly proud of the support that I have from our LGBTQ plus community here in the San Francisco.
How does any of that matter? I mean, San Francisco has turned into a shithole. It's roundly mocked by sane people anywhere in the world, right? And this isn't going to help with the mocking. We're going to mock it right now, right? how can your brain be so addled by ideology that you, or just, I guess, cynical opportunism? How can it be so addled that you really think that's an own, that this is, or that, I mean, maybe this really does matter. And I guess it does matter. And these are the people that they're electing, right? They're choosing from. These are the people who have popular support. I guess it really does matter. How can your brain become so addled that this matters, that a candidate knowing the names of 3 drag queens actually matters to anything when you've got a city that's falling apart, businesses fleeing, drugs and despair and homelessness and crime everywhere? There's a poop map app that you can get to show you where all the poop is. Spoiler alert, it's everywhere. And yet, this is what they're discussing. She just owned him because he couldn't name 3 drag queens. I mean, is the city just going to like, is the city just going to be abandoned like some old Mayan city from the 10th century? Just got to get abandoned. It's just everybody will just have to leave because the leadership is so incompetent and insane and ideological. They're just going to become like an abandoned city. There'll just be ruins, right? And people will talk about there used to be a city there, that everybody went insane. I don't know. Again, there's so much of this that it just seems like an alternate universe, right? It can't possibly be real. Yet it is. Somehow it is. Baffling, really. Baffling. This is so cringe. San Francisco is a lost cause. There is no help for that city. Crime in San Francisco is out of control, and London Breed's priority is drag queens. That's why crime is out of control in San Francisco. It's one of those things where we heard it with our own ears. But it's still hard to believe that it's actually true, that this could happen. I mean, it's like a Monty Python skit. Cobra says, "Sir, name 3 drag queens. Sir, name 3 drag queens. Okay, Diamond, Lexi, and Jasmine. I met them as they were shitting on the sidewalk in front of my house." Oh, yeah. Crazy shit. Really crazy shit. Let's see, just in case you're having a bad day. Okay, let's check this out. Go back. What's going on here? She's about to get tricked. She rolls down. That was good. I'm going to do it without the sound on for a second because I think you guys know why I'm going to do that. Never get sick of it. I could be doing this stream for 1,000 years and I will still hit that fart button at least 3 times a stream. So I don't understand what's happening here. I love the inclusion that the current administration embraces. So I guess these people are now visiting the White House. I don't
talk on it. Yes. We talk on it. Yes.
I don't get. They're obsessed with this stuff, right? Like here. So White House's embrace of influencers backfires. They had like a trans woman who like pulled her top up, or his, I don't know, whatever it was. Somebody with tits, who knows these days, pulled him up on the White House. That didn't go over well. Bans influencer for going topless at Pride. Let's see. Who else? There was that guy who was Dylan Mulvaney. And then there was that guy who was, what was it? I think I made a video on this. I think it was Benny Drama, I think. White House. They did this.
See you, Daddy. Bye. Hi, my name is Cooper, and this is a day in my life as a White House intern. We did a joke. Hey, everyone. Vogue. Usually, I start off.
Like, what's going on? Dylan Mulvaney, and then this, and then the other one, and then, like, don't they have any other friends? Is this it? Is this everybody that they know? I don't really get it. Like, none of this is very presidential. I don't think it's something that would impress the foreign adversaries at all. Like, they must have some other friends. Like, they just keep doing that over and over and over again. It's really weird and seems really pandering and extremely cringy, does it not? They must know somebody else. Geez, I mean, that's really the best they can do. They had that guy who was stealing they hired that, what was his name? The bald guy who was stealing the laundry, Biden, or the luggage at the airports. Biden official luggage thief. Here we go. Sam Brinton, that's it. Made a video on this. This is a good time to remind you guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel already, especially on Rumble, subscribe now. Then you'll immediately have access to all of my wonderful and nutritious videos. All you have to do is just go on to the app or on your TV or whatever, and you will see them, and they'll be right there. That sounds like a deal to me. Non-binary ex-Biden official Sam Brinton was on secret taxpayer-funded trip at time of luggage theft. So this was like a nuclear official. This dude here. So I don't know. Let's look at some other pictures here of Sam Brinton. Images. So there's Sam Brinton there. Right there. That's nice. That bald mustachioed man looks great in that red evening gown, I guess. If only there'd been some red flags with Sam Brinton. If only there'd been some red flags. Maybe it might have been a bit of a dingbat. I don't know. A luggage thief. Stealing women's luggage at airports. Let's see. And then, of course, there's what's the name of the Admiral Rachel Levine, I think. Rachel Levine. Admiral. There we go. This dainty she reminds Rachel Levine reminds me of my grandmother so much. Just like my grandmother. Or my grandfather, or one of those. I don't know anymore. Like, what is the White House the Biden administration can't get enough of this. I just find it weird. I'm just going to say they need to make some new friends. Seriously. I don't think it's helping them anymore. Do they really like them, or are they just pandering? I don't know. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh, this is funny. Michael Malice, we live in the best timeline, he says. Now, therefore, I, Joseph R. Biden, Jr. I guess I should try and read it in the Biden voice. Now, therefore, I, Joseph R. Biden, Jr., President of the the thing, by virtue and the authorities vested in my vest by the Constitution, by the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim June 15th, 4044 as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. Joe Biden declared June 15th, 2024 as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. This happened. That's real. Was this a joke? Were his handlers just playing a joke on him or something? They must have had a good laugh about this. I encourage all Americans to be diligent, work together to strengthen existing partnerships, and develop new opportunities to improve our nation's prevention of and response to elder abuse, neglect, and exploitation. Is that like a secret plea from him to just not elect him again? Is that really what's underneath this? Please don't elect me again. Every day is pain. I don't know. It's pretty funny. Pretty funny. Jesus, we're already at 3 hours. All right, let's get to. Oh, yeah, back to the media again. Here's Max Boot from November 14th, 2019. Trump's corrupted foreign policy, coddled the dictator, abused the ally. July 17th, 2022. Cut Biden some slack. U.S. presidents have to deal with dictators. This is why they don't want to be on the same level as just regular people on Twitter, because they don't want to get called out for their bullshit, for their insanity. All right. Let's see what else we got. Okay. I'm going to show you something, and I want you to tell me in the chat if you can see the thing that can't be unseen. Here it comes. What in this picture is the thing that once you see it, you can't unsee it? It actually took me a couple of minutes. Can you see the thing in this picture that can't be unseen? I'm going to put the theme music on for a second while I wait for your responses. Radio streamer wins. Penis neckline. Oh, that's great. That's great. I don't know why this brings me so much joy, but it's great. I guess nobody noticed. Maybe they did. They just didn't tell her because they thought it was hilarious. But you can see it right here. There's the balls. There's the penis. Her eyes are a bit weird too. But as you can see here, it appears to be balls here. That appears to be a wiener. A wiener. All right, that was good. We watched this one on Friday. I just thought you'd like to see this. A gardener set up a camera to see who was taking his fruit and vegetables, and this is what he saw. It's just this guy. He just sets up in front of the camera and just eats the farmer's food. Oh, is this your apple? Sorry, bro. Oh, I didn't know it was your apple. Well, I'm going to eat it. There's nobody else here, so you're not eating it. So I'm just going to have this apple, bro. You don't mind, do you? It's crazy. It just takes the food, and then just stands in front of the camera, staring at the camera, eating the food. I don't know. I think this might be the most awesome thing I've seen ever. I love it, whatever that creature is. I don't know. That's great. Let's see. Take her somewhere special. Mental Health Institute. I think we've all been there, haven't we? And that's the last one. I think we'll end it off with that. Because it's been over 3 hours, and I was only going to do maybe like 2. So I think we'll leave it there. Thank you, everybody, for showing up and watching. Thanks to everybody who was in the chat. The chat is what makes this whole thing fun in the first place. So thanks to everybody for all your great comments and your participation. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe, because then you can see all my great stuff as it comes out, which is fantastic. It's really good for you. It's good for both of us, actually. It's like a, the leftists, they see everything as a zero-sum game where, if one person gains, the other person loses. That's the way they see. That's part of their oppressor narrative. But that's not really how the world works. That's not how capitalism works. It's most things are a positive-sum game. So both sides, two people form an agreement, and they both benefit. And that's what this is like. That's what happens when you subscribe to the channel. That's a positive-sum game. Everybody benefits, right? It's a good way. It's a good thing. It's really just kind of a first step in rebuilding our civilizations, the integrity of our societies again. And that's really the way you should look at it. Anyway, everybody have a great week. I will see you guys on Friday night, and we'll probably not be able to do. Okay, so let me explain this. It'll have to be a shorter one on Friday night again, because the dentist I was supposed to see last Saturday canceled. And now I have to go next Saturday. So it'll probably be like 4 hours, something like that on Friday night again. But that's just the way that it is. So next Friday, we will be back. The following Friday after that, I have to take that one off because I'm going to be away. But I will be back next Friday. Hope to see you all there. Everybody have a great week. And thanks for showing up. We will see you next time.